We are Funk Motorsport, your heat management specialists. Based in the UK, we strive for perfection, developing thermal products trusted by professional race teams and drivers worldwide. Performance, protection, reliability.
Tarmac Sports.
Teesside for round 3 of the British Drift Championships 2019. Last time out, the changeable weather at Driftland made for some exciting action, with William Hanna taking top step of the podium, closely followed by Hugh Saville and another third place finish for championship leader Martin Cowley. With 4 rounds remaining and just 10 points separating the top 3 drivers, the championship is still anyone's to take. Who will teach the others how it's done in the masterclass at Teesside?
Hi, and welcome back to the deciding battles of the British Drift Championship 2019 Round 3 Masterclass with myself, Ben Manuel, and as ever beautiful Sarah Hall to my side. You are welcome.
You're very complimentary today. I'm liking this.
You see, I've got a one-up Ian Waddington.
I was going to say, Ian doesn't do this. Like, he's going to have to step up his game now.
He is, absolutely. So, on the screen at the moment, you can see the battle tree. This is the top 32 drivers. The battle against each other in a format from first place against 32nd, second place against 31st, so on and so forth. Working it down from top 32 to top 16. Top 16 then go to grade 8. And the grade 8 go through to the Fantastic Four. And then we're going to the Fantastic Final. The final. Well, obviously, we won't release that information until we've had the top 4 drivers that are going to battle each other through. And then obviously the top 4 drivers from today's finishing get the opportunity to drive tomorrow in the Pro class. So we had some fantastic qualifying results. Obviously, we have to try and predict who might take the win here, Sarah. But who's your money on?
It's a tricky one. It's a very tricky. There's some very, very strong drivers this morning. And to be honest with you, there's a few that stand out for me, really. Luke Barker, he's always impressive, but he impressed me here in round 1.
Yep.
So I've got confidence that he knows where he is and that kind of thing. But there's some other people up there with high scores who are going to, I think, give him a good run for his money.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. Some of these guys might not feel like they've qualified very well, but then when it comes down to battles and the pressure of battling, that's the other thing. There's a flip side to it as well.
Yeah, it's not
and and the top 4 qualifiers that we've got through today. Ian Rutherford, being a local guy, knows his track really well, so that's going to be an advantage to him.
He's one to watch
as well.
Sure,
yeah. And then obviously, as you can see, that's going to come up on track. We're waiting on the guys all getting gridded up just to the right hand side of the screen, and then we're going to get the guys out into the top 32 battles. So we are going to take a bit of a track walk here from our roving reporter on the ground, Matt's house.
We are back for round 3 of the British Drift Championship here at Teesside once again, but before we mix it up, so this time we're running it clockwise. About 250 metres down that way is the start line. That's a serious run up to this initiation line. They're going to be getting up to speeds of roughly about 80 miles an hour. Then, nice and sideways for clip 1. Full commitment into South Bank. So whilst we're up here on South Bank, we have clip 2. And as I said in round 1, that's some serious banking. So as they come out of turn 1 and come down to clip 3, they've got a lot of speed to scrub off. Because then comes the hairpin. Things get tight and technical. So as we come to clip 4, still without a transition, and for you at home that don't know what a transition is, the transition is when the drivers will go from one angle to the opposite angle, and they've got to catch that. It's some serious skill and takes a lot of years of practice. They'll be going ba 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 up to the next clipping point. So for this round, we've moved clip 5 back a little bit. Once they come out of that beautiful transition, this will now give them more of a racing line. Check out our perfect line animation. So we're at clip 6. Clip 6 hasn't really moved, but in a racing sense, we're at turn 4. In a drifting sense, we're at turn 2. But we got a wall! Okay, now I'm going to calm down. But there's another wall! Clip 7. This is an interesting one. We used to run it many, many years ago, but for safety reasons, it was stopped. But hellfire to the wind. We're bringing back the dog leg. Watch clip 7. And across the finish line, where the judging stops. But it's not all over yet. You little live stream people, I'm going to let you into a little secret. You might be comfortable sitting at home on your sofa, but the real action is here, and we want you here. So, just for you at home, NEC next round, round 4 in Birmingham, it is going to be incredible. 20% off at the moment. This weekend, if you also put live stream into the discount code on your checkout, you'll get another 20% off. That is just for you guys at home. That is just for this weekend. So book your tickets now and we will see you at the NEC.
Right, you're back with us in the commentary tower. So a face to the name, myself, Ben and Sarah, are just waiting on the grid marshals getting all the battle drivers all into gridding positions. They will line them up side by side. The drivers will then have an opportunity to drift the track, They will then swap positions, and the chase driver will become the lead driver, and they will then obviously do their second run, and it's judged accordingly. We'll get into that a little bit more in depth as we go on, but at the minute, what's your predictions? Who have you got your money on? I know you reckon that Luke Barker's going to be.
He's just consistent here, which is quite good. I'm on the fence. There's too many. There's some really, really strong contenders this morning, and I think this is where it counts. It's round 3, isn't it? We're halfway through. Yep. This is where they really need to start kind of, getting
up in the game a little bit.
Exactly.
There's a couple of wild card entries out there as well, but we've got a good mixture of some low-powered cars who've run really good qualifying lines, who've qualified quite high, but we've also got some, high-powered cars where it might seem a little bit of a drag race from the start, hence why we've put a chicane in. So when you see these drivers leave the line, to eliminate it being too much of a drag race, you have a driver that'll scoot left, come through a chicane, chase driver goes straight. It just gives them the opportunity to not pull too much of a margin and then stay close to the quarter before obviously transitioning into South Bank, and then we swap it around again as well. So sometimes it's about the drivers changing their ability to suit a lower powered car. Do they stay on the door, commit to it? Do they hold back a little bit, giving them the opportunity to catch up? So there's a lot for these drivers to think about in terms of who they're going to be battling as well. But then it all changes, because depending who goes through and who you battle from the other side of the battle tree, it throws a lot of different, opinions into it as to how you're going to battle, who you're going to battle, and things like that.
And every single run is going to be completely different as well. That is what I love about this. So you've got drivers in, like you say, low-powered cars, high-powered cars. It is such a mix, and I think it's so hard to predict, because I can sit here and go, yeah, okay, he's a strong driver, he put in a good one this morning, he got the points. That almost doesn't matter now. They've got to the battles. That's what their points were for, and now it's all going to.
Yeah, it's all out the window. Exactly. Yeah. You throw caution to the wind as well, and sometimes your nerves do get the better of you, but also then you get too not overconfident, but you want to do well. You go flat out, and you might put an extra 10% in, which can then cause you to have a spin. So there's a lot of different aspects of this that are going to come to play. But from obviously the runs that we had earlier, we have got some great twin battles coming up this afternoon to decide who our top 4 winners are going to be. So we're just waiting on our track marshal Toby, just liaising with the guys down on the start line, just to make sure that they're all gridded up into place. Last thing we want is sending these guys out not in order. And here you can see you've got Luke Barker in this very well turned out 350Z. It's a Toyota Supra JZ engine in this vehicle, which means he's probably running about 500 horsepower, give or take. He's had a lot of problems coming up to this event. You've also going to have Paulus Judicious in the
line up next to Luke.
Yep, that's right. So we're just waiting on the all clear from the guys around the track. Yeah, gaffer tape.
Few battle scars there. Yeah, if you can't fix it with gaffer tape, it's not worth fixing. Off tie wraps.
Instead of trying to get the fiberglass filler out, there's that many walls around this track today that they've just got the green tape out. Made it looks good from a distance.
Blends in perfectly with
far from
the
nice,
remaining paint.
Yeah, far from nice, but nice from far. I think is the key thing. So we're getting the thumbs up from our track marshal Toby. It looks like we are good to go. So when you guys are ready, we can start the twin battles here at round 3 masterclass. I think Marcus is going to pull these guys up to the line. As you can see, they're set just outside of the warm-up box. These drivers have got opportunity just to do a rolling burnout.
Yeah, before they get up to the line, obviously get a bit of heat in the tyres.
Yep. It sounds daft, but it does help. As you can see, Luke's just doing a couple of rolling burnouts.
Yeah, we've kind of, me and Ian have had a chat about this before, because initially people think, well, it's drifting, it's sliding, you don't need grip. And I can understand completely why that view is
if
there.
If anything, it's the opposite.
It is. You still need the grip.
You need all the grip. People think, it's sliding, and you want sliding to have no grip. But if you've got no grip, you've got no control.
Yes.
And to be in control, you need to have the mechanical grip, which the chassis and the car and the setup offers, but also the tyre grip. Hence why they'll do a burnout, just to get things up to speed. So as you can see, Luke is the lead driver. He will take the left-hand line. He's the lead driver because he qualified first. So he will go on the left-hand side through the chicane, and then it gives Paulus, as a chase driver, the option to get as close to him as possible by running a straight line. You can see Malx is in the middle there, and there's a cone just to his right, our left, and you can see as he sets them off, Luke's going to chuck a left, and then we are straight into battles. And here we have 1,000 horsepower up to the line. Luke there getting a little bit of a lead on Paulus. And Luke running a great qualifying line. Paulus a little bit shallow there on Southbank and having to straighten as Luke comes through clip 3. Not very much proximity, and any that's going to be gained now from Paulus is due to him cutting the track.
Yeah. He's going to be sacrificing any kind of line as needs to gain any proximity back there.
That was a flawless lead run by Luke Barker there. Pretty commanding lead.
That's what I love to see from him every time. He almost makes it look effortless.
He does, and he's consistent from a lead perspective. But obviously, as a chase driver,
how is he going to fare? Could be completely different.
He's a very good all-rounder driver, so I think he's going to change his tack slightly now to not be too aggressive, because his spotters will have said you might have had the advantage slightly there. You know, it might be a 6-4, because this is scored out of 10. It's not out of a 100 scoring. What they'll do is they'll give an advantage or a disadvantage to whichever driver they feel has got the better run. Chase drivers usually tend to get a slight advantage because they have got the opportunity to have proximity. But obviously, if the lead driver pulls away and there's no proximity and runs a better qualifying line, it will swing in favour of the lead driver. Yeah,
so you've still got to have some proximity in there, haven't you, to even be in the game, really?
If there isn't any proximity, they will try and judge it individually. But when I say no proximity, you're talking 4 or 5 car lengths. Yeah. But again, the lead driver will be the one that's gonna benefit from that slightly. As you can see, Luke right on the bumper there, just giving him a bit of room and mirroring the line that Paulus has taken. So, but Luke having a little bit of a wobble, but running a better qualifying line than earlier. Snappy transition there from Luke as he comes through the smoke. The key to drifting, to not get lost in the smoke, is to be as close as possible. And Luke has shut it down. Luke Barker shut the car down. He's been plagued with demons all week trying to get this car ready. Just fired it up again. He will be absolutely kicking himself in there, Sarah.
He will be, after all he's done to get here with problems with his turbo, etc. He will be absolutely kicking himself.
He will, because he put in a storming lead run there, and it just looks like the car shut down, and whether it's a mechanical problem or what, or...
So he's automatically...
So he's out, yeah, because he did not finish the drift, and he drove the last section of the track. He didn't continue to drive. He is on a 10-0. So obviously from the lead run there, it wouldn't have been a 10-0 against Paulus. So we'll just wait for the judges there. As you can see, it looks like it's going to go in Paulus's favour. Brad and John just waiting to put their scores in. There we are. Just getting used to the little iPads that they're using, you know.
With the sausage fingers.
With the, well, I think that might have been their assistant smashing on the keypad earlier. Just, you know, thinking she's playing the piano, smashing on the keys. Right, so yeah, that was unanimous. It went to Paulus. He went through. Unfortunately, Mr. Barker there having the error, so not being able to continue with the drift. Right, on the start line, we have got
Stu
Jones.
Yeah, Stu Jones there doing it.
And Matt Check, Blaze Jet Ski. If you say it as it looks, it's Blaze Jet Ski. But I know it's not. It's Blazewski, which is my interpretation of it.
We did have a giggle about Blaze Jet Ski.
We did. We had a little bit. We had a little bit of a laugh about it on Facebook of how Ben was going to pronounce his name, and his friend just said, "Call him Magic Jet Ski." So that's what I went with. So, full Stu on the left, Stu Jones up against Matt Check on the right, and we will see how close Matt Check wants to follow Stu in. Stu there a little bit down the track in terms of clip 2, but Matt Check got no proximity and quite shallow to try and gain some proximity on Stu. Stu running a good, oh, what a fantastic drone shot that is. As the drivers there come up from clip 6 over the dogleg clip 7. Matt Check holding back a little bit there, whether or not he didn't anticipate Stu's car to be as fast as it was. Stuart there mid-track, slight little flick in, use handbrake. Matt Check got loads of angle there, coming but quite shallow against that. Sacrificing some clipping points to try and gain that proximity, and Stu running a solid line.
Ben, from the judge's point of view, if you've got excellent proximity, but your line's terrible, how do they see that?
Right, so they would see it on the basis of the chase driver has to mirror the lead driver. So if the lead driver is completely offline, but the chase driver is glued to him all over the door, he would score more points as a chase driver because he's forced to follow that line due to the lead driver being so far out.
I see.
If there is separation and the lead driver is online and runs the qualifying run, but obviously your chase driver is way off, it's going to be advantage to the guy on the leading line. Okay. But as a chase driver, what you're told to do is mirror the car in front. So it technically then becomes a mobile clipping point, and you're to follow it as much as possible. So a very similar entry there from both drivers. A little bit less so from Stu, as he's quite inside the track and miles away off the clips, but having a massive dive up the inside of the hairpin there and having a big error. Matchek just doing his own thing, and Stu nowhere to be seen at the end there. Quite a scrappy run there from Stu Jones.
Yeah, he had a bit of a wobble, didn't he, there? And I think,
well, as you can see,
the speed just dropped off, didn't it? Because I think to avoid contact mainly.
Well, he's down the track here as he's coming round off South Bank, and he's really on the inside line, the wrong line, as you can see there, having a bit of an error. Matchek's running the outside line, giving Stuart the opportunity to follow him. Stu has a dive, then he's off power, then he's having to reinitiate. So very scrappy in terms of Stu's chase run. But again, both drivers having errors in the chase position. So a difficult one to call from a judge's point of view. Days like today, I would rather be a commentator, so they can see straight away as the scores come up. Matchek taking the win there over Stu Jones. Too many errors forced from Stu Jones in the chase position, so it's quite clear cut from our judges. I can see Ryan Pothecary giving me the thumbs up as I have got it. Scores on the doors, bang on. Joys of being multi-talented, that you see, from a judge, from a driver, from a commentator. There's not a lot I can't do.
You're just multi-skilled, Ben.
That and, very modest. Nick Brady just doing the figure of 8 warm-ups. Main reason for doing the figure of 8 as well is obviously not just doing the rear tyre warm-ups, but it gets rid of any rubbish that's collected on the front wheels, because obviously off the circuit, off the line, there is so much rubber deposits out here that they stick to the front tyres. These guys a lot of them run like a Max Sport, super sticky front tyres to aid with as much grip as possible when you're on angle, because obviously the car's trying to push forward from the rear wheels.
That's it. And you're going to get, I would assume you're going to get a lot of feeling through the front wheels as well, because you're on such a hard angle, such an exaggerated angle with the front steering. You must feel quite a lot back, and you don't want any bumps on the tyres.
Absolutely. You need to clean them off. As you can see, Nick there just holding back a little bit, following Steve McConnell, because in a lower powered car, Nick's going to plant the throttle here and just rein him in. As long as he follows the line, there's not a lot that Stephen can do to avoid this happening. And if anything, it's clever driving from Nick to give him the bit of room needed, in an underpowered car. Nick there having a massive error, having to shut down and get back on power again. And way out of line. Wow. So, from my point of view there, Steve McConnell just ran the qualifying line, and all the errors happened behind him. That was Nick.
I would say the same thing. So Nick was giving him some room, so that could be clever. He could be giving him room to make an error.
Well, he gave him a bit of room just so that obviously he can chase him. He can then apply the power.
Yeah.
But it looks like Nick has then got a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too close, and as they come back through the hairpin, kind of forced the error on himself. Wise old man told me, who drifts, who's here today actually, you don't win the battle, you lose it, you throw it away.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yep. So here we have, and Stephen's going to be absolutely flat to the mat here to keep on with Nick. As you can see, Nick's initiated. Steve, and he's quite low down the track, so Stephen's followed that line, just caught in the smoke. And in that smoke, you can see he's just clouted the back of that wall just because he got lost in it. But Nick Brady having a much better midfield run, but Stephen not letting him get a million miles away and not really forcing Nick to have any errors. And Stephen ran a qualifying line then. He can't help the fact that he got outpowered.
No, of course. That's something that, you can't help. It must be quite difficult as a chase driver if you haven't got the power, because it's a whole other thing to deal with, isn't it? It's not
absolutely.
just about looking at the other driver. It's knowing what his car's capable of as well and trying to keep up with that.
And as the lead driver tends to pull away, you've got to try and rein them in. And if you haven't got the power, you will then start to sacrifice the track. You will come in slightly to do that. But Stevens actually played it clever. He stayed on the qualifying line because he will have been told that if they run the qualifying line, that's what they're going to get scored on. And right, so John's already got his score in. He went to advantage towards Stephen McConnell, Ryan and Brad. So all three judges, Stephen McConnell takes the win there for following the qualifying line. And again, like I said, Nick Brady there giving it away.
That's it, and I think regardless of that second run, I think the first one Nick made just too many errors really, unfortunately, and it was in Stephen's favour.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what, Nick's going to be so happy with that he's just got to this point after he's had a few car niggles yesterday, and he didn't think he was going to get out at all. So he'll be really happy that he's actually just got out.
He'll have got a few championship points towards that as well. Great. So that'll all help in his favour. So we just update our battle scores as we've got Ash Jones and Jack Wotton lining up or getting warmed up on the start line. Again, just going back to that previous run, Judge is saying to me then, do you want us to explain what's gone off? Well, yeah, kind of, but it's easy enough to see once you look at the footage.
It is, especially the first run. Yeah. Like I said there, I don't think it made much difference on what happened in the second one. I think Nick had just made a few too many errors in the first one, kind of set him away.
So we've got two Battle of the E36s. Stu Jones up front being chased by Jack Wotton. Jack Wotton in the JZ36. Looking like he failed to initiate there. Looked like driving the track completely offline. All Stu's got to do is just continue to follow what the qualifying line, like we keep reiterating.
Yeah.
Because in battles like this, a lot of errors and mistakes from Jack behind him. So assuming nothing goes too wrong, quite clear cut there from a spectator point of view. Jack Warner having a lot of errors. You see Stu flicks in, and then there's a wobble there and like a double initiation. Jack's not drifting a little bit, but he's too far down the track, off the clip. Doesn't push wide, comes infield.
Up there as well.
Has another initiation and nearly over rotates. Straightens again there. Just really scrappy from a chase position. Stu there, not particularly quick, but just again continuing that line. That's expected.
Line, wasn't it? It must be quite difficult. Is it difficult? I'm not saying it must be. You were a driver. Is it difficult when you're in the lead to not worry about what's happening behind you? Are you just trying to ignore that and focus on?
Exactly. Yeah. When you're lead driving and you're out front, all you're concentrating is being as fluid as possible, following that line, and whatever he does behind you, there's nothing. It's out of your control.
You're not looking in the mirrors. You're not watching him. You're just focusing.
No, because unlike racing, it's not that you want him to get past you. You just don't. You can't force someone to have an error. As you can see here, Jack's miles off the clip down South Bank. Stewart has been told by his spotters he's had a lot of errors. Continue to follow the line.
Yeah.
Just giving him a bit of room. Jack were quite off most of the clips on 1 through to 3. You'll see in a minute through the initiation. He comes in through that clip, but he's mid-track. He's not even above the white lines.
No, he's not, is he?
So he misses.
He's completely mixed too.
Misses quite a lot there, which obviously then.
Right, he kind of got through, but not quite at the right.
And Stu just played it safe, held back a little bit, and allowed him the space needed, because he probably knows already he's got potentially advantage from his lead run. It's also. As a subjective kind of sport, because it's judged, his spotters will be saying, advantage might have gone to you. They're trying to judge it as much as we are from a spectator point of view. So, it's quite clear cut. Too many errors from Jack Wotton there, which obviously gives the advantage and win to Ashley Jones. So, Ashley Jones taking the win.
So, these guys have got the spotters out there, assessing their runs, giving the guys some feedback, giving the drivers some feedback. Are they also trying to preempt what the judges are thinking as well and think, okay, they're not looking for that, and they're telling him, no, they're looking for this, you need to be, adjusting this here, or...
Sometimes, right, so I'll just explain what's happening. The reason why there's one car running is that Matt Fountain isn't driving, so this is a bye run. which means that Louis can just do this for giggles. He doesn't have to, be on all the clips because he's not competing against anyone because his competitor is out. So this is just what's called a buy run. So as we can see, the 17-year-old there just, smoking around the track in his 350 horsepower, E36 M3.
Doing what he does best.
Yeah, exactly that. But like you were saying regarding spotters, these drivers will have spotters out there, and it's quite difficult from their perspective because they're trying to judge the run that's just happened, but the spotters might not see everything that the judges are, so they might not be able to tell where there was good, where there was bad. They're probably getting a lot of their information from us, from what we're relaying back from viewing, or commentating on the errors that's been forced and things like that.
Yeah, that's it. And I don't know, obviously people watching the live stream might not be able to see. We're up in the judging tower and we're actually looking for a monitor most of the time.
Yep, that's right.
We can't see the full track, so we're relying on, like we keep banging on about the drone footage, and it's great because you can see everything. But it is because that's what us and the judges are looking at quite often, if we're looking at all the different angles of footage.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what's key. You can only judge it on what you see.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do need to, look at a different camera angle, and that's for more if there's controversy.
That's it.
But Lee there, initiating, and
being chased down by Chris Wright.
Yeah, Chris is in a more powered car, but having a bit of an error there. Again, like I mentioned earlier, high-powered cars struggling to chase these lower-powered vehicles, and that sometimes shows the skill or lack of skill of the higher powered drivers. You'd usually see left foot braking and things like that if you're in a position where you're too close, but you're having to keep the car on power to keep the turbo spooling and all this kind of driver ability. Some people are left foot brake, so keep the wheels spinning but slowing the car down on the foot brake at the same time.
Again, it's adding in a whole different element because you're not only worrying about what the other car's doing and doing a line yourself, you're worrying about controlling the speed because it's a lot easier to just
throw it away,
pedaling.
Yeah,
you've got the power, stick your foot in,
exactly.
But actually you're going to have to really rein that in and
it's
not balance.
It's not about that. You're correct. It's not about just keeping your foot flat to the floor, because anybody can do that. You can put your foot in, you can be flat out, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be in the right position, because you've got to judge the speed of the car that is that's in front of you, and it's like doing a dance. You'll be on that. You'll be using the hydraulic handbrake, because these what you might not know at home is that they have a hydraulic handbrake in the car that is directly mounted to the rear brakes, so they can lock the rear brakes as and when they need to. So you'll be using the clutch, you'll be using the accelerator, you'll be left foot braking, you'll be using the handbrake, and it is like a synchronised dance. Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, Chris there throwing it in on maximum attack, flat to the floor as he comes through the power zone. Lee doing well to keep up as well, not sacrificing too much of the track, but obviously on an inside line. Inside lines are always going to be the shortest way around the track, but again, looks like a little bit of a contact there. Not sure if there was or whether or not Lee had to back out of it for...
So that must be interesting for the judges then, because you've got the lead driver. Did he
impede,
mess up slightly, and cause the chase driver to contact, or did the chase driver not control his car and he was the one who caused it? That's quite an interesting thing for me.
Yeah, it's a subjective
somebody
kind of
new to drifting. Yeah, I can't quite judge that yet.
Yeah, that's the thing about drifting as a entertainment motorsport. It's not clear cut. There's always going to be decisions. So it looked like there. And the judges might want to might go back into that, but it looks like the lead driver either off power or clutch kicked or changed gear, but had a little bit of a wobble. As we see, obviously, Lee and Chris come up.
Well, it looks like the judges have made the decision. So for them, it must have been very easy to see what happened.
Yep, and I think
judge it accordingly.
Yeah, well, we're going to go across. So Lee Lawrence takes the win over Chris. I'm going to come across to the judges so they can explain exactly what happened there.
Yeah, so in run one there, Lee had a good lead. Chris's chase was quite scrappy. We gave that a slight advantage to Lee from the first run, but it mainly all came down to that second run. With clip 5 to 6, Chris appeared to shut off at a point where he should be maintaining speed, or at least or on full throttle, pushing out to clip 6. That then caused Lee to nudge him, tap him. We had to assign fault to there, and unfortunately that's Chris's fault, putting Lee through.
Right, so there we have it from Ryan Pothecary, as we are back to the start line with Carl Farrar and Andy Frost. Carl in the police liveried RX-8 1JZ, running 300 horsepower wheel speed, and Andy Frost in a borrowed car, which again you can see Carl Farrar throwing it in slightly down track there and then pushing up towards click 2, but Andy following that line, and you can see the speed difference slightly there as Carl pulled a little bit of distance and Andy having to just make a little bit of a shorter cut through the track. But again, good lines from both drivers here. And also, it comes down, Sarah, to having a chase driver that gives you the opportunity to chase them. So obviously, if they've got a really scrappy lead run and they close the door or they're offline, it doesn't give you as a chase driver the opportunity to have that close proximity battle.
That's it. If the lead driver's not fluid and smooth with his movements and transitions as well, surely the chase driver doesn't know where he's going. He can't make a committed sort of entry into a corner himself because he doesn't know what the lead driver's going to do.
No, you're right in saying that, because obviously if they're out of position or out of line and they're not giving you the space required to do that chase line, you've kind of just got to follow. You can see the damage there on Dango's car from him smashing into
and
smashing into the wall.
It happens so much faster when you're actually in the car as well. So for the fact that the drivers are going to have to react so quickly as well, it is really important to sort of be able to preempt what that lead driver's going to do.
Yeah, you're right. And straight off the bat, we've got Andy Frost there throwing it in for Carl Farrar to chase. Similar lines to what Dango ran earlier, screaming down that wall on 3, carrying quite a bit of speed. But Dango looking like he's got a little bit more proximity on this chase line.
He certainly does so far.
Pushing Andy Frost. Just holding back for the transition there. Judges giving a round of applause there to Carl Farrar as he puts in a close proximity run there on the back section of the track.
He absolutely did. So from my view, it was quite new to drifting. I would say that was quite a close run on both. That must be quite difficult to judge, but from the second run, Carl Farrar was putting just a little bit more pressure on, and I guess that's what they're looking for, just that little bit of pressure, a bit of proximity to the car in front. Is that going to sway the judge's decision? Maybe I'm looking at something completely different to what the judges are looking for.
No, exactly. The proximity that Carl will apply will obviously go in his favour if there's less proximity against Andy chasing him. So I think this is pretty clear cut. Yeah, the proximity there from Carl Farrar showing that he was the winner of that battle. So Dango, Carl Farrar taking the win over Andy Frost, and fair play to Andy in a borrowed car. You can't take it away from him, but a little bit more proximity from Dango, which obviously gave the win. They gave the win to him.
Yeah, it was a really strong run from Andy. Brilliant effort. Just Carl kind of got him on the second run.
Yep, that's right. And
a nice fair battle though.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite clear cut.
Yeah.
We've got Josh King and Lewis Baker just lining up at the minute.
I know I keep mentioning that I'm rather new to drifting as of this season, but it's good for me the more I learn about drifting and how the judges look for things in the runs. It's nice to know that I'm kind of on the same lines and I'm looking at the same things as they are. Not all the time, but most of the time is a good thing.
It's also good, because you're a petrol head, so it's good to have your perspective and outlook on it as well, because that relates to the spectators who are new to drifting.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully I can, ask some questions that they might be wondering, the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And here you can see Josh King and Lewis Baker. Josh throwing it in his spare car there, absolutely flying in this turbocharged 5 Series, smashing off the limiter. Lewis Baker in the smoke, just cut himself off slightly there as they've come through that second hairpin. That's one of them areas you don't want to be in, because obviously as a lead driver you have got the right of way as such, and if they are behind you and they can cut themselves off, they're only going to impede their own line. So as you can see there, nice high line from Josh, but then a bit of a wobble there from Lewis. having a bit of an error. As he comes through this section here, you'll see he cuts himself off almost. And then there's a gap separation because he was too tight on the inside of the corner. But it'll be interesting to see what the reverse will be. We'll swap this around. That's a undercar footage of twin set of fuel pumps in a fuel cell.
Thank you for that. That was very technical.
Full of useless information.
What's that all in the window?
That is ventilation for the rear of the car, because it's probably got the rad. He's got the rad in the back.
Yeah.
Well, he's got all vents cut out of the boot. Wow, but Lewis there, way off the initiation of clip 2, but Josh King just trying to mirror the line with a lot more proximity. But again, an error there from Josh on that first, and another error. Like I said earlier, it's not the win, it's the throwing away of the battle.
I've never thought of it like that, but now you've said it, that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
It really is.
You see Lewis initiates and he's mid-track, he misses them 3 clipping points, but then the driver area, and then he moves up towards the clips, so he comes through and he's on the clips, but Josh has an error there, looks like he shut it down almost, then reinitiated, and then he has another wobble here. Lewis runs the line, he has a wobble there, straightens, then reinitiates again. Lewis pulls a massive gap, Josh is nowhere to be seen, so very scrappy chase drives from both drivers. So the judges are having a little bit of a conflab on this, as you'll see.
Yeah.
It's whether it's a catalogue of errors from both drivers, and obviously they've decided that Josh King has made more errors than Lewis Baker, which, yep, there we have it. Lewis Baker takes the win over Josh King, having less errors than Josh, so it's quite clear cut. He takes the lead.
When you start getting down to the top 32 and further along, it is all getting down to really fine details, isn't it, in the driving?
Yes, absolutely. You know, and that's what. But we're fortunate that we've got the one more time rule. So if it's that too close to call, and I mean too close to call, or one of the judges, sees something different from another judge, you can only judge it on what you see. It gives the opportunity then to have another awesome battle if it's deemed that it's fair on both drivers. A little bit of curb rash going on there. You can see there's a bit of rim missing out of that. Fortunately, the beading's still on.
Exactly, that's all that counts.
So Ian Rutherford to lead in Dan Tyler. Dan on the back of that S13 as he initiates. Clattered him. I think if he can stay in this, I'd be impressed. But obviously, Ian Rutherford dropping a wheel off track and losing some speed, and Dan Tyler having nowhere to go but just giving him a bit of a love tap, saying, "I'm here. Can you get a move on?" And like we said, Rubin is definitely racing. It just looked like Ian dropped a wheel off track.
It certainly did look like that from here. You could see a little bit of mud flying up off the back wheel out of the back bumper, so yes, I think he probably did.
Obviously, as soon as you come off track and the wheel comes off track, you're going to lose some of that speed and that momentum, and it just looked like Dan didn't anticipate that. Just give him a little bit of a love nudge, move up the way, a bit of a love tap.
Okay, so here's a question from the judge's point of view on that one then. So, are they going to take into account the fact that Dan Tyler didn't really have anywhere to go, or should Dan Tyler have preempted that? Should he have given him more space?
No, absolutely not, because the option is there. You want to be as close to him as possible, and if the driver makes the error in front and you've nowhere to go,
then that's the driver in
front's
problem.
issue, not yours. That's his fault, not yours. So again, these cars will have war wounds all over them.
I really like that it's kind of judged in that way, because with a lot of other motorsport, contact is just, it's quite straight cut.
It's a racing incident, isn't it?
Yeah, and whereas this is actually
not encouraged.
The chase driver did tap him, but he's looking at why. And he's looking at the reasons why behind that. So,
like we say, it's a subjective sport. He's drifting.
It is.
Nice flick entry there from Dan Tyler, giving on again.
The same. Oh, and he's off, and he's collected a cone.
Right. So what happens there is the first driver to fall off the track is the one that makes the mistake, so it then becomes a 10-0. So because Dan was the lead driver and he fell off the track first, the advantage is given to Ian Rutherford. Ian Rutherford then, all he has to do is drift the rest of the track, and
he's completed a run.
And he's completed a run.
Right.
He takes the win.
But then they've obviously got to compare that to the first run.
To a certain extent, no, because the 10-0 supersedes it. It doesn't matter what happened in the
Right,
first half of the battle.
Okay.
Because Ian Rutherford didn't fall off the track and Dan did, it automatically goes in Ian's advantage.
Saying, yes.
And the 10-0 will overcome a 6-4 or a 7-3.
I understand, yeah.
So
I was thinking of the first run where Rutherford's dropped a wheel off, but that's okay. It's, you know.
It's only one wheel.
Yes,
it's if you fall off the track and take all the wheels off, it's an automatic 10-0.
Right, and that's what, unfortunately, Dan has done. So that is going to overrule basically
that's
whatever happened in the first.
So as you can see, and that's the explanation for that, is basically Dan Tyler fell off the track, Ian Rutherford takes the win. See, I'm even saving the judges plenty of talking here because and their voices for tomorrow. So you guys can come and commentate and you can scream and shout, and me and Sarah will just come across there and judge. No, judging is not an easy position to be in.
Yeah, we joke, but to be honest, I would not want that responsibility.
To be fair, I don't mind it.
But then again, you've got a lot more experience in the sport than me, so you're in a better standing to judge than I am.
Well, there is that, but obviously I like your outlook on this because obviously you see it from a different set of eyes and a different perspective, which is good. And here we have got a bye run, so it looks like Jolene didn't get the diff fix. So I can tell you that Jolene in the E92 M3 JZ powered car, they are waiting on a Winters quick change diff for that car, which is entire back end. Danny Maguire's only putting a bye run here, and he's bouncing his R34 off the wall. So Jolene's crew didn't bring a spare diff for the car because they're putting a super strong Winters in it. Unfortunately, they have smashed the diff on that and not been able to get one in time, and therefore given the bye run to Danny.
It's typical though, isn't it?
Sod's law.
The one spare that you don't bring is the one you break on that event. It's just
every
always
time.
the way. Always. Any motorsport.
Yep, every time that that one item that you don't need, you think, oh, I never need that.
But where do you stop? What do
you bring a spare car.
A spare car in bits in the back, yeah basically. It's the only way to cover yourself, isn't it, for any eventuality?
Look at the damage on that 36. So we've got Will Gibbs and Justinas Norcus.
Will Gibbs then, so that was he's one of the 17-year-olds, isn't he?
Yes, indeed
he is. Young drivers. A lot of talent to watch.
Yep, Will Gibbs obviously being the higher qualifier takes the lead running the white E36, where Justinas is in the chase position. Way off line. Look how far down the infield he is. He'll be all over him here, but he's going to straighten and then run wide because he's carried too much speed in. So a really good lead run, but unfortunately Justinas is all over the place trying to get to the clipping areas, and that'll be massive advantage Will Gibbs. Massive advantage for Will Gibbs there because he just runs a line, and you watch this initiation, it's too early and he's mid-track.
Yeah, other than that he was a pretty good line for the rest of the track. He recovered well.
Yeah, the reason why he had a good line is because he was so shallow inside of the track. He's got time to catch up.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the transition's good, he's got the proximity there, but then he just pulls away. Does Will.
He certainly doesn't look phased by any pressure from a chase driver, does he?
No, absolutely not.
See how he fares as the chase driver, though.
Just getting a quick side shot there.
What did you prefer when you were drifting?
In terms of car?
No, like lead or chase, were you stronger in one or the other?
You always like to favour yourself in the chase position because that's the area where you can do something about it. Because obviously in the lead run, you can't influence what happens behind you.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously in a chase position, you've got the option to make it up. And Will looks like he's been caught napping there slightly.
He does.
Justinas just got a wheel off there.
Yeah.
But a lot better run from the lead driver. Will there just having to follow the lead line, the chase line, rather than push any proximity. That's going to be a difficult one to judge, if I'm honest. not because of the separation, but more to the fact that he's just been left napping. And
both drivers' chase runs were just a bit scrappy, weren't they?
yeah, they were. Will had looked like a better initiation and then just followed the lead line. But the judges are just having a conflab on this one, so we might actually go across to them for their indication as what it is. I've got my predictions, but what do we know? We're just commentators.
Yeah, exactly. What do we know? I know what my prediction is.
Go on then.
One more time. That's my guess. But that's based on where I'm sat, because I can't call it myself. And this is where the judges come in. They're looking at a lot more than I am.
Yeah,
and, you know, they might see something, they go, well, actually, that's really simple. I saw that he did that, and that
absolutely.
calls it. So.
Sometimes having a one more time is a really good get out of jail card for having to make a decision as a judge.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult thing, because you could say, oh, well, he was offline and so was he, and you know, it's easy to forget what happened in the previous run when you're concentrating on the one that's just happened.
Yeah.
So the judges will be taking notes as to at what position Justinus was versus Will, and who had the advantage in that run, and it's whether or not you think it's a 7-3 advantage for lead versus a 6-4 for chase. So there's a lot of different variables that they have to take into consideration. So much so that they're still deliberating over. I reckon a BMW's won. I'm just not sure which one.
I think you're safe with that.
So we can confirm, and Sarah Hall is correct. The drivers are going one more time.
It might be the only time ever that I'm right, but that was a good call.
Well, it's all down to the fact that there was scrappy driving from both drivers. The errors were too much to call between them. I think they both had areas where they were out of position, and it was much of a muchness between them. So they're going to go one more time.
I can see exactly why they chose that. That was my suspicion.
So these drivers have now got the option to change tyres if need be before going back into one more time, or if they feel as though they've got enough tyres on the car, they can go back to the grid, line up, and then get ready to go again. So next up at the moment, we're going to have Paul Currington and Rob Johnson. This is going to be good. Both JZ cars, both around, I think they're about 450, 500 horsepower. As you can see, they're just doing a couple of rolling burnouts just to get sorted. Right, so Malcolm's on the start line setting these guys off. You are going to have Paul Currington to lead in Rob Johnson. Paul in the black 14, Rob in the white. Oh, early entry there from Rob. So much so that he didn't anticipate that Paul was going to be away as far out as he is, and quite a few scrappy errors there from Rob Johnson. Inside the track, having to reinitiate. Paul just running the line like he's been told to do. Rob's cut himself off there again.
I can't believe there wasn't contact on that last section.
Oh yeah, Rob Johnson.
Completely sideways.
Completely, yeah. He's initiated early, look, he's in the mid-track. Paul's come up towards clip 2. Rob's nowhere near it, unfortunately. That's why there's a bit of proximity there, but he has a massive wobble here.
Yeah, he straightens up there completely.
Yep.
He sort of tries to hold it, doesn't quite, has to reinitiate again there.
And then as you come around this corner, you'll see Rob dives up the inside, almost cuts himself off there.
Far too shallow.
And then obviously has to recommit again.
When he dives down here just before 7, I honestly thought he was on the
Yeah, as you can watch this camera angle now. So he straightens up and he's on the sideways.
Well, the one sideways.
Dialed all the lock in there just to straighten himself up. So we're going to swap these guys around. We're going to have Paul to lead it. Sorry, we're going to have Rob to lead. Paul is going to chase him in. Lining these guys back up. See that little triangular bar on the bottom?
I was just going to ask
knew
you, how
you-
do you read my mind?
Well, you know,
We've got a bond, haven't we?
great minds think alike.
We're Northerners together. That's what it is.
You've got it.
What is it? It looks like a wheelie bar for drag car.
So Rob Johnson flying there into clip 1, way more committed than his chase run. And look at that line. Rob is absolutely flying and leaving Paul nowhere to be seen. If Rob had done this in his chase run, it'd have been all over the back of him. Really, really solid lead drive there from Rob Johnson. Paul Currington not even bringing the fight. Nowhere to be seen. 5-6 car lengths pulled there over the finish line. That was a smoking hot lead drive there from Rob Johnson. As you can see, as he initiates, just pulls legs on Paul Currington. Looks like he was caught napping there. Doris, give us a look at it. Doris Johnson. I thought she's not running for PM, is she? Oh no, it's Boris. Sorry, not Doris. Doris for PM. So Rob's fan club there, just giving him the big thumbs up. It's great to see the support these drivers have got, because if it wasn't for the drift widow wives who have to put up with these men spending hours in the garage with the mistress, because that's what these women are. These cars, that's what they're all like, mistresses, because you put so much time and money and effort into them.
I'm like that, but with speedway bikes. I'm a speedway widow.
You're speedway widow, are
Yeah.
you? So where's your other half today then?
He's in Denmark racing his speedway bike. In fact, he's probably on a flight over here now because he's racing here tomorrow.
So he's got
On he's on his other set of bikes tomorrow.
life of a
I
rock
know,
star.
honestly, tell you what,
So
it's not as glamorous as...
2 wheels off. So 2 wheels or 4 wheels? What do you prefer?
Me, personally,
Yeah.
well, I'll put it this way, speedway bikes don't have brakes. So I ain't getting on one of them.
I need to cut you short. We have a decision. The decision is in. We are going one more time. Rob Johnson put so much of an advantage over Paul Currington there that it overruled the initial errors of his chase run, which negates itself and gives them the opportunity to run uno moro timeo.
Interesting.
I'm good at this commentating malarkey. I should get a
You're
job.
making words up now.
You would
Sorry,
have-
they can't understand it anyway, we're Northern.
Yeah, well, that's it. All these southerners down south.
I have to put subtitles on the...
No, that's
the
our
live
sponsor.
stream.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll revert to that. That's our sponsors at the bottom. So none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the great help of our sponsors. As you can see, scrolling across the bottom, you've got Competition Clutch, Corbo Race Seats and Tarmac Sports.
We've got Hell Performance, we've got OBP Motorsports, Yellow Speed Racing, Slide Motorsport, Excite Energy, of course, that we're all glugging down in the tower here.
Which is quite
Our
nice.
nut on energy
Yeah,
drinks.
we've got plenty of them saves
We've
coffee.
got loads of them about. AM Details, Funk Motorsport, M-Tech Brakes, Samco Sport, Simpson.
All these guys making this series possible.
Absolutely.
Because without these guys, you know, and the drivers and the fans and everybody else at home, but also if you're going to make the effort to come to round of 4 at the NEC in Birmingham, if you use the voucher code that we've got, which is live stream, you not only get 20% off, you get an additional 20%
Another
off.
20% off, but only while the live stream's
It's
on.
like buy one, get one free. I say you buy one, you get one free.
Only while the live stream's on, though, the code works.
Correct.
Type in live stream in the discount code box and you will get an extra 20% off.
Winner. You need that
On
to
top
pay.
of another 20% off.
And it's at the NEC, and it's a custom-built track that we're going to use out the side.
I can't wait to see this.
It is
one.
awesome. I'd driven that a couple of years back and smashed McConnell. But that's
dear.
another story. We're going to go straight into battles now between Jamie Stevens and Ryan Toporoski. Jamie Stevens, by the way, is not a bailiff. As big as he is and as scary as he looks,
He's not a bear.
he's absolutely flying in this little E30. Ryan Toporoski, not too far away in terms of proximity, but lost in the cloud of smoke. Jamie Stevens there, absolutely killing it. And Topo can't even see where he's going at the back. Wow, give it up for Jamie Stevens, smoking out the Teesside arena there. Just throws that 700 horsepower E30 in. Scan your turbo on that from a truck, I think.
I mean, if you score big or go home, that isn't it?
It is. E30s as well.
What turbo should we put on it? Let's get one off a truck.
Yeah, this one will do. Won't be long. Have a Cummins diesel engine. Just throw a turbo on that, we'll send that out, it'd be great. Rolling coal.
That's the kind of old school nonsense I like.
I've only seen a couple of diesel, like, he's trying to get them to work because they're so laggy.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Supercharged, turbocharged.
Could you supercharge?
I think a Norwegian guy did on a Mercedes, did a supercharged turbocharge with nitrous to try and get it to work, and he drove it. He didn't drive the car. He came all the way across here a couple of years back to compete, but never really seemed to get it to work to the same levels.
I can imagine that there's the people out there with the capabilities to make that an absolute beast of a machine, but reliability, I'm sure, would be a bit of an issue.
Well, you think about all the moving parts. One turbo, that's all right. Then we'll throw a supercharger
turbo,
in.
supercharger, and nitrous.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are back on the start line. Ryan Toporoski to lead in. Jamie Stevens, Topo in the S15 3.4, miles off that clip there, and Jamie just running that upper line, leaving Topo to make all the errors. If he forces this here, it's Jamie's to kind of throw away by the looks of things. But again, because Ryan was so offline, look, again, another driver not forcing the error, but causing their own errors. Wow. Jamie Stevens there. I wouldn't say throwing it away, but having the errors.
Compared to the absolute belter of a run he did first.
It's whether or not, obviously, he's made enough errors to negate his lead run from the previous battle, and then they're all just, and then he's shut down or almost, I don't know, changed gear and missed a gear. There's a saying, it's the old second to fifth. So when you go from second to third and you miss third and go across the gate and you slip fifth by accident, I've seen people lose many a battle because of that. Oh, hang on. I'm not sure if that is the correct battle. That was maybe the previous one, because we've got ammo there waiting. One of our long-established track marshals. Malx Minion Ammo from Norfolk Arena do a fantastic job of trying to herd all these guys into position. Because drift drivers and gridding, it's like trying to herd cats.
Yeah, I do that at home.
What, herd cats?
Yeah.
Are you a crazy cat lady?
I'm getting there.
It's
my backup plan. I've only got 2, so I think that's safe territory for now, but...
Yeah, so obviously when you've done with cars, you're going to open a cattery.
Basically, yeah.
I hope you don't stink a wee.
No.
Crazy cat lady. Hang on, but you're into beige Leyland cars.
I told you, I'm an old lady. I'm an old lady, I tell you.
So judges are just looking like they're... conflabbing, trying to come to some kind of agreement. Right, and we can confirm Jamie Stevens takes the win over Ryan Toporoski. Didn't make that many errors to negate all the ones that Ryan did in his chase run. So obviously Ryan made too many mistakes chasing Jamie. Jamie having a really, really solid lead run. And then when they swapped the battles around, Jamie only had 1 error versus Ryan's multiple ones from his lead run. And then obviously Ryan had such a poor lead run, the advantage went to Jamie. No need to go to the judges for that, because I know this stuff. Because I judged
magic,
it.
Yeah.
No, it's just because I judged it. I'm commentating on the judging from how they would see it, and if there's any errors, then obviously we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But we are going to come back to the one more time battle between Will Gibbs and Justinas Nagas.
Yeah, they just lined up there now. So this one was obviously one more time, so it was very hard to judge. And off again with Will Gibbs in the lead.
Yep. Super, I think it's a 1.5J in this. Good combination. Much better run from both drivers there. Justinas just trying to make the dive on the inside to gain that proximity, but not a lot between them. Nice transition through the smoke there. Dialed a little bit too much angle on and then a bit shallow again there, hence why he's going to have an error there.
Yeah. It's like you know what they're doing.
Unfortunately so, because I have done it many times before when I have had my own drift career of, making a mistake, and after watching so many runs and seeing where we're going to happen, you can kind of preempt it. It's easy to see when you're watching, but when you're in the car, you think it's the best thing since sliced bread, or you've thrown it away, because you don't know what's happening behind you as well.
Yeah, that's it. And it's very difficult to see a lot of the time when you not only because of the smoke, but when you're in the car, you've got such a different view of the track.
Yep, absolutely. But when you're driving and you've got a car in front that's generating so much smoke, you need to be within a metre of that car for you to be able to see where you are going. So the smoke from their car goes under yours.
Yeah. Yes.
If you then get caught in the smoke and you don't know where you're going, it all comes down to memory muscle.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is just the spatial awareness that these drivers have got is fantastic, and it needs to be so that they know exactly where that car is on that track.
And avoid contact.
But you imagine trying to do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah. No thanks.
Exactly.
I'll leave it to them.
No, that's right. So here we've got Will Gibbs chasing Justice. Will Gibbs there, not making too much of a dive, and again following the line. I think it's going to come down to this last section of the track that might decide who takes the lead. I've got my predictions.
Let's see if the judges agree.
Well, we'll find out in a minute.
Yeah.
Rocketed that lead initiation there, did Justinus, and then you've got Will. Doesn't make a dive here by coming up the inside. He does follow the chase line, which is going to work into his advantage. Transitions through the smoke, but doesn't make any errors here like Justinus did on his chase run. So I would say it's, in my opinion, a slight advantage to Will.
I would say the same.
And I'm getting it looks like I'm getting the nod there. So I get the nod from the judges, and I am correct as usual. Will Gibbs takes the win, ladies and gentlemen. Just because he had less errors, that was the bottom line of it all. Yeah. It's great to have the judging tower and share the commentary at the same time, because these guys, they give me the eye, they give me the nod, and you can kind of gauge their reactions. But it was a very, very slight one, I'm so told. But again, it was a slight advantage, and hence why Will takes the win. Right, the battle that Doris has been waiting for. Rob Johnson and her hubby versus Paul Currington. Team Johnson there. Is that, who's that in the white t-shirt? Looks like Sweeps. Oh my word, the man, the myth, the legend.
He's back.
For how long though, that is the question. It'd be nice to see him finish. It's like OAD, Old Age Drifters. It'd be nice to get him back for the rest of the season.
We were going to make a hashtag OAP Drift.
Yep, well there's plenty of them. I think
thumbs up, OAP Drift. Hashtag that.
Scotty's back as well. We've got Alex Law, some of the pro drivers. Yeah. But for right now, we have got Paul Currington leading in Rob Johnson. Rob had been told by his spotters, commit. And there he is. He'll have his foot planted to the floor there, not letting Paul get away. And he's got faith in Paul that he's not going to fall off the track.
Ooh, a little wobble.
A little bit of a wobble there from Rob. But again, transition through the smoke and trying to stick it on the door of Paul Currington's S14. Not much better that round than it was the previous one. A little bit of scrappy errors here and there, but again, it's all going to come down to that next run.
Yeah, it was much more committed, but yeah, like you say, let's see what happens.
Yeah, Rob actually committed later into the corner, like he was been told to do, rather than staying committing too early and being mid-track. Looks like it had a little bit of a wobble there. Come off the gas.
Hopefully that hasn't damaged his.
No,
judgment too much, but obviously anything could change from this next bit, so...
You're only as good as your last drift, said Sweeps once many moons ago. So, Sweeps, for all you viewers at home, he was one of the original founders, if not the original founder, of the wheel. No, not the wheel, I'm kidding.
He's not that old.
Of the British Drift Championship. Also part of the Corolla A86 Brotherhood. He was the owner of the championship, which then obviously moved on to Mr. Egan, and then the baton has been passed on again to Matt Stevenson. But we've got him out of retirement. I think this is it is the first time I've ever seen him drive in a professional.
He's come for a pedal.
He has come for a pedal, and I'm excited as well, as we've got Rob Johnson here leading in, and again a massive lead there over Paul Currington. Rob is absolutely flying on that initiation, already pulling 4 or 5 car lengths, and he screams down the wall there. Paul Currington's got no answer to Rob Johnson's speed. And as it stands at the minute, that looks like advantage Rob Johnson for me, as he collects it all up and crosses the line. Paul Currington got nothing on Rob Johnson there.
I have to agree with you. I think Rob Johnson just had the edge there. That was a really strong run from him. Is it going to be enough to counteract his little wobble in the first run?
I think it
will, but
proximity versus one wobble.
That's it.
I think it's going to be the minor of advantages, but I think it might be enough.
Yeah, that's
but
what
who are we to know?
Exactly. And we can't do one
I
more time because that's what we're doing
correct.
already.
And I can't be right all the time, but I'm going to edge my bets on Rob Johnson. And if I'm wrong, then I'm just a commentator.
Are you going to sulk if you're wrong?
No, I'm just going to look like an idiot. But
I'm wrong all the time.
It doesn't take a lot. Right, the scores are on the screen. We are just waiting for the judges. Ryan, Rob Johnson. All bated breath there. Brad, Rob Johnson takes the win over Paul Currington. And I think I was correct. It came down to the proximity in the one wobble makes the advantage. Rob Johnson takes the win. Absolutely screaming lead run. He just needs to calm his passions when he's chasing.
So next, Philip Hayden. And then we're just probably done that no justice whatsoever and massively offensive. But
now, Philip Hayden is obviously the fastest ex-pizza guy in the UK.
Yeah.
And Nagas Veliskevus, I think I'm going to go with that one. Yeah, looks good enough for me.
Holy Kevicus, I'm going with that. I think that was a bit better.
Car 266.
What's easier? I'm going to speak to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him properly and get his name right.
I'm just going to go
out
car
of respect.
266. So drivers are on the start line. Obviously, Philip Hayden qualifying in 14th place is the lead driver. He's slightly higher than Nagas in 19th. So this is an M-powered E36 compact, 350 horsepower. So we're just waiting on getting the thumbs up from everybody. There's nothing worse than being sat on the start line waiting to go. The nerves start to go.
That's it. You just want to get on with it,
yeah,
don't you?
The build-up comes.
The longer you sat there, the worse it is.
Oh, it's terrible. It starts to eat you inside. You get the butterflies.
It does.
And you're like,
and then you go to yourself, yeah, I forgot how to do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm not very good. I can't do this. And then eventually they'll set you off and you think, well, let's give it a go.
Absolutely right. Just throw it in. Right, so Philip Hayden in the little compact throws it in. Small versus mighty, as you've got the huge boat-like 34 chasing it down. Really, really nice lead run there from Philip. But as you can see, Nagas is applying the pressure. I think that's the power. Quite loud as I go past. I think that's the power aspect there, being able to claw back some of the line that Philip Hayden has. And Philip's committed in there, flat to the floor. He'll be third gear, keeping it, pinned. Clutch kicking, he might push maybe start in second, but I very much doubt it. But as you can see, the Skyline there got maybe another 200 horsepower on that car, and he just
hasn't let him go at all.
No, that's it. Just didn't let him get too far away, and being able to reel him in a little bit towards the end. Be interested to see how this turns around in the other battle, because it might be that Philip gets out-carred, not out-driven, out-carred, power to weight ratio. But that's why we have the chicaning. Rather than it being a drag race, it gives obviously the slightly lower powered car the opportunity to not let off. So if that was me in that little BMW, I would not even look at the driver next to me. I would be flat to the floor, and if he's behind me, then tough. I'll catch him on his initiation, and that's probably exactly what he's going to do. Look, little feint entry there from Nagas, and again, shallow on South Bank from the lead driver, but already a little bit of a gap being manufactured there. Hopefully Philip can follow the line and it can be judged online, but at the minute it looks like he's got no answer for the power advantage that Nagas has got in the lead run.
Absolutely not. So from a judge's point of view there,
show your appreciation for Philip Hayden there, absolutely peddling that little E36 compact flat out. It's difficult, especially when you've got 500-600 horsepower and 350 in a little compact, showing some fantastic skill there for an 18-year-old to be, flying through here. It's going to be a difficult one to call, but I think I know which direction it's going to go in, and that's mainly just being outcard.
That's it. It's just power, isn't it? It's just a factor of power. So, from the judge's point of view, what is Philip's best bet there? Because he's not going to catch him.
He's just got to run the line.
He's just got to run the line as best he can.
If he can't catch him and he runs the line, that is the only thing that they can score him on. They can't, disadvantage him for having less power. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Yep, and as you can see, that Nagas takes the win over Philip Hayden, and that is again only down to pulling the advantage in terms of proximity due to being slightly underpowered. Time for a bigger engine, Hayden's. Yeah, I can see Dad and his brother hands up. They know. Not driver skill, just down to the power. Give him an extra 100 horsepower, and
it's absolutely not down to driver skill at all.
No.
The fact that even he can attempt to keep up with him with that much power difference shows he's got the skill.
The thing is, though, he has got the skill. If it had rained out here, he could have won that all day long, and it's been proven. Because when it rains, it's a level playing field.
I quite like it. Yeah,
power has got nothing to do with it. It's all about the control. So when it does rain, what you'll tend to find is these lower powered E36s with the mechanical grip that they've got can beat the 600 horsepower all singing, all dancing cars all day long. But you cannot come to an event hoping that it's going to rain. You have got to drive and if you want to win, you've got to beat all the other drivers to get to that position. Absolutely. So here we've got Stephen Fitzgerald and Martin Cowley. Stephen Fitzgerald throwing it in through clip 1 and right out there, but Martin Cowley on that back quarter panel and got an answer. Just dialing in some additional lock there to not spin. Beautiful transition through the smoke, and Martin Cowley having an absolutely blinding chase run. Look at this run here from Martin Cowley. Show your appreciation for Martin Cowley. That is one of the chase runs of the day. Absolutely on the door. Just gathers it all up here as he comes off the first initiation, and then I say he doesn't let him get away, and that's what we want to see. These drivers pushing, but a really, really chaseable run there from Stephen Fitzgerald gave him all the room. Run the good line, but obviously Martin's on the inside. You can see pushes out a really, really good lead run for Martin to have the proximity, and hopefully we switch it around and we have the same again. Stephen's then able to do the same.
Hopefully so. I mean, that driving is what impressed me at round 2 with Martin Cowley, and I was rooting for him to get that car ready, so he was actually out today. They've put a lot of effort in to get that car out on track, so he will be very, very pleased with himself.
Absolutely. And the team. All of them will. They're out there to put on a show as well for you guys, whether you're at home or in person. But you should be here in person.
Get here, yeah.
Because it's way better with the smoke and the noise and the atmosphere. These guys, we're going to have the live stream guys at home. You're watching the championship, but you're not going to see the driver walk. You're going to have the track walk. You are going to have the team battles. Martin Cowley. So Martin Cowley is committed to this run. There's no false start, and Stephen Fitzgerald is nowhere to be seen. So this is going to be judged. Well, it's not going to be judged, unfortunately, because it was a failure to drift. So because Martin
he didn't set off,
has done a run, and there is so much gap between the drivers, you won't judge this as 2 individual runs. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Stephen Fitzgerald caught napping at the line or stalled the car or anything along them lines. He failed to drive, failed to drift, and because he didn't commit to competing, that is advantage to Martin Cowley. So look, it's like he didn't get off the line. Something happened. Malx dropped the flag. Martin went. Stephen was nowhere to be seen, and that's going to be 10-0 advantage to Martin Cowley. Right, so as we can see, Martin Cowley does take the win over Stephen Fitzgerald. Down 2. Stephen Fitzgerald popped out of gear. So he's clicked first gear or gone into first gear, gone to obviously release the clutch. He's popped out of gear, missed the gear, and then he's had to put his feet out the bottom and start pedalling it. No, for whatever reason, missed the gear, and that was that. So Martin Cowley taking the win and moving on to the top 16. So we are up to our last battle in this top 32. We've got Davidas Petrushka versus Dominic Gates. They are on the line. Dominic will be in the teal-coloured S13. I do like this BMW.
I do.
Because it's turboed.
It's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
It is.
Like it.
And it's an absolute smoke machine. A little bit of a weak entry initiation there from Davidas, but absolutely on the smoke there. Oh, Dominic there looking like he was going to potentially run wide or spin. Nice transition there, giving chase driver all the room. Oh! Wow! Well, that's made a mess of that then.
That was a big old impact.
That was a big off. What happened there was
Gates,
Dominic was in the smoke behind Davidas. Yeah. He was too wide out on the left-hand side of track. He just clattered into these barriers. But these cars are, they've got roll cages in them. They've got all the safety harnesses and everything. I don't think there's going to be much, if any, fluid or leak damage on that. Just got a battered rear quarter.
Yeah, it looks a little bit more
Car's still running, steering's all good. So he's probably just going to drive it out of there.
Hopefully so, there you go.
Might have a bent subframe on it. Show your appreciation for Dominic Gates. Absolutely sending it in the wall.
Talk about a bit of drama. Well, he hit the clip anyway.
Hit the clip, he broke the clip. Right, we might have to have a little bit of a 10-minute rule, not for the drivers, for track staff,
to get the wall back
to rebuild all this.
Collect the bits of Dominic's car up that he's thrown away. It always looks quite dramatic, doesn't it? But a lot of the parts are designed to be, they'll drop off, the bumpers will pop off, and it's bits of plastic, and like you say,
well, that's it,
structurally underneath. Most of the time they survive.
Fingers crossed. He kind of caught that with the back wheel so hard that it might not have bent a lower arm or a subframe or something like that.
Not. It's just flicked him round.
Yeah, it always looks dramatic, especially because it's drifting, and we're not used to seeing that very many kind of bad crashes. Bad impacts. Impacts and that are part and parcel. Bumpers come off, and tyres blow up and all that kind of stuff. But
there's nudges, there's taps sometimes between drivers, but we don't really see that many impacts. Which is unusual, because people would think there'd be more because you're out of control.
Yeah,
inverted commas there. Like you're sideways. You'd think there'd be a lot more of that kind of thing, but actually, it's quite. These drivers they're so skilled. They know how to control it, don't they? What they do is they are sideways all the time, so they're comfortable with being sideways, and they can control it when it does go a little bit out of shape.
I think what caught Dominic unawares there is he was out of position on the track and caught in the smoke of the lead driver, which when he's initiated around the dogleg, he was naturally on the left-hand side of the track. And what's happened is he's pushed wide, ran onto the dirty area where there's no grip, and he's in third, fourth gear doing 50 mile an hour, and he's just caught the back corner of the barrier, the water system that they've got there, and it's just flicked the car around. It's only spun it 90 degrees.
It looked good though.
It definitely
looked impressive.
And all these, exactly. But again, they'll straighten it out, stick some tyres against it. As you can see, it's mullered that first one. But that's what they're there to do. They're there to stop the cars, hitting the grass, which is going to be wet, and pull the car into the barriers. I have seen at a test day here, which didn't have any public at it, someone roll a drift car on that particular area of the track.
That must be a very rare occasion.
I think it's only happened 4 times in the UK in the past few years. Twice in England, once out in Driftmasters. 3 times in England, once out in Driftmasters. But these cars have got the full roll cages.
Oh yeah, the full motorsport spec. They've got all the safety gear, they've got the harnesses, the seats, the guys have got the hand devices on and everything, so they are equipped for that eventuality should that ever happen. Tell you what, in Rallycross, there's a roll in every heat.
Yeah, it's standard.
It's completely different kettle of fish with those guys.
They're doing it in, hundreds of thousands of pounds of Kevlar cladded, almost like a new school Group B rally cars.
Some of them are. Now, it depends on which rallycross you go to, because I do a lot of clubmen's racing rallycross.
Right.
So you can have a Saxo,
Right, okay.
out there, or you can have a BMW, or any car you like, anything you think of, really. We've got MR2s, all sorts of stuff out there. And, they've got all the same safety gear, roll cage and all of that. But, those boys kind of live upside down sometimes.
Yeah, and drift.
But they're off-road as well. Do you know what I mean? They've
exactly.
got tarmac and off-road, so
and they've obviously got different tyres and specs and everything else to go with that. But the track marshals there just getting it all built back up. We can see Toby, Malk's out there just making sure it's all safe.
Ben, earlier on you were telling everybody that you want the live streamers to come down to the event and everything that's here for them. Apart from the atmosphere and the vibe which is down here, which is amazing. We've got some awesome stuff down here that you don't get when you're watching the live stream.
Absolutely.
We've got the merch tent for a start off. So
We've
get
got
yourself some
all
BDC
your
merch.
BDC merch tent and everything that goes with that. You've got the trade areas, so you've got obviously all the guys who've got all the performance parts out here. We've also got the remote control, the Rat Trap guys at RC are here, putting on a show in miniature, is it 1/18th scale or something like that. So you've got the RC guys who've built a custom indoor tented drift area, putting on a show. A lot less to lose at that kind of level, but nonetheless still impressive in a remote
There's
control
some
car.
awesome little cars, and the fact that they can drift
Yeah.
a remote control car is pretty cool.
They're four-wheel drive with plastic wheels.
Yeah.
So little battery-powered
I've had a
cars.
little go at these.
Yeah. Any good?
No, I'm terrible.
Oh, at least
I
you're
am
honest.
terrible with it.
Well, Carnage Rally have brought all their cars down on display, so they've got some VIP road trip weekend experiences, which obviously that's going to be happening. They're going to be travelling across Europe, up to Prague and that. So they're also, available to get in on the action. So they brought, I think they've got, is there an R8 down there?
There's an R8. I think there's a GTR, if I remember rightly. I hadn't had a brew this morning when I had a look, so it's kind of not so.
Well, let's just big it up and say there's a lot better. So I don't know. They could have they've got an AMG Gullwing.
And things aren't held on with tie wraps.
Oh, they are. Yeah, absolutely.
They're pristine. These cars.
There's a little bit of replay action there. You can just see Dominic Gates catches it, pulls the front round. So because the barrier has moved and it not been a solid wall, it's enabled him to have a little bit of an impact zone, and it's just pushed that back.
It's absorbed
Absolutely.
the impact, hasn't it? And that's what this is designed for. Yeah, of course it's a wall for us to run when we can, which is impressive. But yeah, it's designed to keep them safe as well.
What happens as well with these walls is if a driver, kind of clips one with his back end, if he lets off the power as the back of the car touches that wall, it will naturally act as a brake and it pulls the front in. So if you ever catch a wall and it's obviously got quite a bit of grip to it when you initiate or you clip it with the car, if you're too deep against it and it pulls the front in, it can smash the entire front off the car. You can smash the back quarter off it.
You don't want that.
I did that at the NEC 2 years ago, driving.
This is clearly why you know.
This is why I stopped doing it. No, it's not. But yeah, you can damage it. You rip the front off it. So what's the best thing to do when you hit the wall?
Brake.
No. Keep
Accelerate.
Keep your foot in. Keep it pinned.
Just keep it pinned.
Keep it absolutely pinned. So when obviously you initiate or you clip a wall, you keep your foot flat to the floor. You do not let off, and that is, like we were saying earlier, the mindset of having to do the opposite of what you think you need to be doing.
Exactly. My first reaction there is, what do? Do you
brake?
Yeah. No. You just keep it pinned. Yeah.
Just keep it pinned. The car will 9 times out of 10 sort itself out, unless you're like Matt Stevenson and you rip the entire back end off an E92 M3 twice in one weekend. Not to get the dig in there, but I did it, so did he. But it was impressive to watch when you see your team boss mate manager throw his car in, and we're not using plastic walls either. We were using concrete 2-ton road barriers.
You don't want to argue with them, do you?
He didn't. It cost him a rear back end.
Well, the wall won.
He bought a car to fix it. He didn't fix his car. He bought an entire
donor
car just to get the back end clamshell. So he took the back off it and clamshelled it in. Right, so we've just got confirmation Dominic Gates is not going to be progressing any further because his tyres are done as well, and he just smashed the back off the car. So commiserations for Dominic Gates there, putting maximum attack to try and obviously catch Devadas, but Devadas is going to take the win in that battle. Well, that was what we was getting feedback from the track marshal. But what I was saying regarding him, some of these guys have done it. They've clamshelled the car. So what that means is, rather than having the structural integrity of all the back of it and everything else that goes with it, they made a mould of the back of the car and space framed it and put all the remaining components around the space frame. So if it ever happens again, just get one of the clamshells out.
Panels pop off, and
Panels
that's it.
pop
You
off,
bolt
that's
them
it.
back on again.
Yeah, so the bumper and the rear quarter panels were all one item, like a clamshell. So if you smashed it, you could either run without it or put another one back on.
If they do it nicely enough with the fiberglass, is it lighter as well than the original panels?
It is.
That might be something.
It is, and then that reverts back to what we mentioned earlier about putting the radiator and the water system in the back of the car, because it adds a bit more weight to the rear axle. Because if you've got a car that is too light on the back end, you don't get much grip.
You're not going to put that grip down because you're
Correct.
not going to. Yeah, there's no weight in the back of it.
Yeah, and it's all down to the setup of the car as well. So drift cars are set up completely different to any other type of motorsport that you see, and it's mainly for the squat. So when the car sets off from the start line and the car naturally compresses, when the car squats, they want the wheels to be completely flat and flush against the floor to get maximum grip out of these super slick tyres. These tyres are like a 265 wide. So again, they're a really wide tyre, they're super grippy, and they will be running, the average pressures on a road car, about maybe 32 PSI. These guys will be running them as low as 10 to 11.
Wow, that is low. That is super low.
So they've got squidge in the tyres, suspension setups to suit tracks and squash and everything else.
It's no wonder the tyres don't last more than 3 runs.
Yeah, 3 runs, so what have you got? If you think about it, 1, 2, 3, you've got 4 corners in 1 lap. You know, so for the sake of 12 corners, you've done an entire set of tyres. So these guys will bring additional wheels as well. So they will have, I don't know, maybe 8. No, I'd probably say they'll have 5 pairs. So they'll have 5 pairs of tyres plus the ones on the car, all tied up, ready to go. And over the space of a weekend, you know, if they get 3 laps out of it, they'll probably change or bring an additional 16, 20 spare tyres. So if you think they've probably got 30 tyres, 30 tyres for one event, £100 a tyre, £3,000 worth of tyres for one event, 6 rounds.
It's an expensive way to have some fun in it.
Exactly. And you put that into context with the hotels and the fuel and everything else that runs in with it. I reckon some guys are going to be doing, you know, a fair few thousand, you know, anywhere between £2,000 and £5,000, depending on the power that these guys have got. But they've all got to pay for fuel, they've all got to pay for their entries and everything else. And what do they do it for? The love of the sport and for the fans. Exactly.
Yeah. Put on a show for them.
Yep.
And to be honest, the drivers, obviously they've got to have, it's important for them to have sponsors, but to be honest, they wouldn't do it if they weren't passionate about it.
No.
You know, no matter how many sponsors you had, if they weren't passionate drivers about what they were doing, they wouldn't do it altogether, I think.
No, exactly. But it's also what a lot of people don't see is the camaraderie these drivers have got, and the banter and the fun and the friends and everything else that goes with it. It's not what goes wrong, it's when it goes right. It's the best thing in the world. But when you're at the back of the track gridding up and there's no cameras and you're just, you know, with your mates who've got a like-minded vision of wanting to have fun,
it's community.
It is. It's all about being, and there's no better feeling than being sideways around this track and you've got a mate who you trust with your life and your car, and he's 2 feet away from the door of your pride and joy, and you're banging on roof for him to get closer. Come on, whack me, make it look amazing, let's do it again. And then you get back and you're both so hyped, and the adrenaline buzz from how cool it is, you're like, right, should we go do that again? And it's the buzz as well, irrespective of how great it might look to the people that are here. But when you're in that car and you can feel the fans and you know, hear them all, you know, screaming and whatnot, it's fantastic. And that's what makes it so. It's a good family sport as well, because the action is straight in front of you. You're not having to wait for a lap. You're not having to wait for cars to come back round again. And I think that's why, as an entertainment factor, people enjoy it so much. And especially people who've never been to watch it either are like, wow, I can't believe how noisy these cars are, how much smoke they make, how much power they've got.
The amount of people I've spoken to since I've been working with BDC about what I'm doing now and these events, people who don't really know a lot about drifting or they've never been before, and they turn up and they say, like, they message me later, I can't believe what, you know, this was amazing.
Yeah.
The tyre smoke, you know, the atmosphere, there was, you know, music, there was, you know, the RC tents, you know, things to do for the kids as well. And it really is a family event. It blows everyone's mind.
It does. So we are going to, rather than me and you waffle on about stuff,
they're probably bored of listening to us now.
So we are going to have a little interview with top qualifier at the Pro-Am today, Luke Barker, coming up.
Right, little quick one before you go out. I know obviously you're just about to go out to your battles, but first place qualifier, been absolutely plagued with issues this year in the BDC, but it looks like it's all come together.
Yeah, we're still having some issues at the moment. Currently having voltage drops with the alternator. It's not charging the battery properly, so we're currently running a hybrid motor at the moment, charge it with a battery, with a generator. But I'm just so over the moon to just get top qualified. Finally the car working. Turbo's starting to die on it a little bit, but I'm just going to give it 110% because I want to be in that top step because I need to be there.
Maybe that's what you needed, just less power.
Yeah, maybe a bit less power. But it's not as quick then, so.
It's absolutely incredible to see you top qualifier. Loving that it's obviously all coming together and can't wait to see you out there in the battles. Good luck.
Thanks.
Cool, he's ringing me now.
And as you can see there, Luke Barker in the interview, all smiles.
Always smiling, that lad.
Car's losing power, he's got voltage drop, which is causing intermittent misfires and everything else. And he's as happy as
And
Larry.
he's still got a grin on his face.
Absolutely. And that's what you miss sometimes about this is when you're here, you don't see the hard work that goes into it. But also, when you're not here and it's not live, you don't see any of the pro practice either. And they're on tomorrow for the big show.
You miss all of this when you're not here.
Yep.
Honestly, it's worth it, man. Get a ticket.
It is. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a top 16 parade. So the drivers are going to drive out onto track. They're going to come round over South Bank and whatnot and onto the bottom. They're going to do, I don't know, a couple of donuts, maybe some show-off manoeuvres.
Bit of showboating.
For the fans. And it's also what these Pro-Am drivers need because they put equally as much effort, time and love into this as the pro drivers.
Oh, they absolutely do.
And they're the future stars of our pro category for next season. 4 of these guys will get the opportunity to move up into the pro class next year, so that's why they're going to come out and do a few poor donuts there.
Even I could do a better donut than that.
Oh, is that a challenge?
Yeah, that's a challenge. Do you think you'll let me have a go?
Probably not, but I'm sure we can find someone that's daft enough to
I've
let
said
you
that. Someone will go, right, are we then? And I'll show myself up.
Oh, Matt House just giving him the okay for a donut there, and he missed the gear.
Oh, Matt's brave. Watch his toes.
Thing is, though, when you're doing donuts like that, all the driver's probably going to be looking at is where Matt is, and just use him as a mobile road cone.
Pretty much.
Just keep going round and round him.
I used to do better donuts, more accurate, if I had somebody stood in the middle rather than a cone.
Yeah, because it's obviously a higher...
Because I'm like, okay, I can't hit them now.
Not just that, it's a higher reference point.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
She's brave or stupid.
One of the two.
Hands
shaking his hand through the window as he's doing a donut.
Hands on her hips. She's like, yeah, I got this. It's nice to see a pretty girl down there, and her in that red skirt's not bad looking either. Oh, sorry, it's Matt House. I like this sticker on this, financial mistake.
Financial mistake, yeah. I think every motorsport driver could probably relate to that.
I think anybody who has anything to do with wheels in terms of motorsport of any calibre. So we've just got obviously the drivers down here gridding up to be able to do a few donuts. Got Matt House and the BDC girls in the middle there. Ash Jones in the DKM E36 V8 NOS machine. You can see some of the drivers there just giving a wave as they come around South Bank. "17 years old.
Look, this must be his dream. Look at those lovely ladies he's got to donut round.
Spinning round some women. 17 years old in his 350 horsepower M3. Jealous much? All you kids at home playing Fortnite, get down here, get a ticket.
Well said, thank you.
That's what you don't get. The smell, the noise,
the smell.
And all covered in bits of rubber.
Yeah.
And needing to have your hair washed.
Yeah.
For what little I have left.
Well, wasn't going to say.
Hey, it's not a 4-head, it's a 5-head. It's that big.
Matt just appeared out of the smoke there. I didn't even see where he came from.
Like gorillas in the mist.
Well, that's it. Lee Lawrence there, giving him a bit of a smoky
showboating.
shot. Yeah. He loves it. And he'll be and I can see his face, even though I can't see his face. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I know what Lee's face will be like right now.
Oh, it'd be all smiles.
Grin from ear to ear.
I want to see a helicopter, and not of the type you're thinking. I want to see 2 cars doing a couple of donuts in tandem. Can we have a unison donut, someone, please? Dango's used to a donut. Look at him, uber cool in his aviators.
He did say he doesn't drift without his aviators on.
Dango, that sucks. Do a better effort.
High five. High five.
That's better. Police interceptor. It'd be nice if it was a Mad Max style with a big V8 super. The last of the V8 interceptors.
I raced a Mad Max car.
Did you?
Yeah.
Which one?
It was a Porsche 938 Boxster before we made it into a Mad Max Fury Road machine. I'll show you later on.
Cool.
So we raced it. We smashed the nuts off each other in the desert.
The living daylights out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did.
In the desert?
In the desert, South Africa, yeah.
Interesting fact.
A couple of friends built it.
And you went to
and
Africa and
got in
hammered
it and scared the living bejesus out of myself, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, wicked.
That's pretty cool.
It was going quite well until a 4x4 kind of drove up over my windscreen, and I kind of panicked a bit then, and yeah, I did a little scream on TV.
Here's your car back.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I've had enough now, that's it. Screamed on Sky One. There's my claim to fame.
Have I got a claim to fame? I've been on TV once, and it wasn't Crime Stoppers either.
You beat me to that one.
It was a Holiday Showdown.
Holiday Showdown?
Yeah, do you remember that?
No. What did that involve?
Family swapping holidays.
Oh, right, okay.
To see who got the better
the better
holiday.
one, yeah.
I wasn't on holiday, by the way.
Oh.
So here we've got Ian Rutherford and the beautiful, as ever,
is this our Danny Maguire?
Danny Maguire.
He's a gym owner.
He is, but
you can tell.
He has got an LA smile.
Fully lifts, doesn't it? Yeah, he's got a dazzling smile.
He has got all the veneers.
All of them.
Matt Stevenson
peddling
a BMX. It's been a long time since I've seen Matt Stevenson on a BMX. He used to be a BMX, didn't he, Matt Stevenson?
Did he?
He did. Very, very long time.
Don't have many skills.
It's negotiable.
Oh, I was trying to be nice. He's the boss.
Yeah, only because he's the. Yeah, but I'm his friend away from here, so I have to kind of rein it in sometimes, and I forget that. So look at that start line view. You've got Jamie Stevens on the left-hand side there.
And there it is.
I wonder if they're getting into battle form. What's that? Battle formation.
Battle formation.
Battle formation. It sounds like something.
Robot wars.
That or more of a like a D-Day landing.
Oh.
Battle formations.
I like how we went with completely different things there.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of the whole battle scenario.
I like Robot Wars, alright.
Robot Wars was kind of. I didn't realise how big they were. Them robots were huge.
They're bigger than you think they are. You sort of think they're like this.
Yeah, they're definitely
and they're like
not RC
3-4 foot, aren't they? Like massive.
They're huge. Can we get a round of applause for these two women in red skirts who are completely mental standing out here in front of all these Pro-Am drivers?
Getting covered in bits of rubber.
Yeah, great. Well done. Rob Johnson, everybody, show your appreciation. Hey! It's only time his wife, Doris, will allow him to do some spins around some girls. Giving the rock lock out the window here. Fast R drivers, Jamie Stevens. I want to see a helicopter. That's not an actual helicopter. Two drivers
not
using each driver's corner as a moving clip point.
If you give me a car, I'll do it.
Me too. Who's daft enough to give us a car?
Okay,
though?
by the end of the season, me and you.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Helicopter, tandem donut.
I'm sure someone's mental enough.
I'm down for that.
What's funny about this is the exhaust is out the bonnet, and these two are going to get absolutely covered in race fuel.
They're lovely.
Look at the smoke machine from this car.
They've gone. We've lost the girls.
Bang! Oh no, sorry, speed up. There she is.
They're lovely locks. They'll be covered in race fuel and muck now.
Yep.
And who says it's a glamorous job, eh?
Well, Happy birthday, Daddy loves you. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's cool.
He's managed to get a message on the side of his car.
Yeah.
That's a good
Big
one.
shout outs. So all these pro drivers getting opportunity to come down and just, put on a bit of a show, a bit of a parade for the guys who've made the effort to come out today. But again, what have we got coming up tomorrow, Sarah?
More epicness is what we've got, and I can't wait.
More epicness.
Epicness isn't. I don't think it's in the Oxford Dictionary, but I like it.
Definitely should be in like a street dictionary.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary.
I bet it's on there.
More epicness.
Epicness. What else can you describe it as? It's just it's carnage. It's savage.
It is
action.
Action-packed.
We are
fuel, thrilled, entertainment, motorsport.
Yeah.
Of a different calibre. It's like I love all types of motorsport, and you can be at home watching, V8s. I like V8 supercars, Australian V8 supercars.
Oh, I'd love a ute.
Oh,
I want to import a V8 ute.
That'd be kind of cool.
I'd love it, love it.
But also watching these guys, and you'll see, I don't know, it rains or it's end of the race, and you've got 3 or 4 of the guys drifting off corners, and everyone goes wild for it as though they've probably never seen it before. Come to a drift event, just imagine if you were here and you've got all this drift action.
It's every corner.
And you saw a V8 just doing a few laps, gripping around the track, you'd be like, yeah, that's kind of boring.
We've been spoiled, haven't we, by action?
Absolutely, I totally agree. So I've got, looks like Matt Stevenson's got a whiteboard and I'm about to play charades here.
We're getting secret messages. Yeah. TV, movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we've got an offer, a special offer in the merch tent. Is this today? Just today? Just today, Matt is telling me officially today only. Basic BDC hoodies. What price are they normally? About 30 quid?
No, they're not. They're 35.
They're 35.
Unless he's ripping me off, because I paid 35 for mine last time, and he just knocked a tenner off them and done them at 25 quid.
Let's not tell Ben. But they are on offer right now, today only. 25 quid. Get yourself down to the merch tent.
Actually, they're very nice ones.
They are.
Well.
Do you know what?
Mine's super soft.
This is the warmest hoodie I have ever had, and the sleeves are really long as well, which is nice because I've got long arms. There's a random
Well, for
fact.
me, I haven't. I've got short arms and I look like a pudding, but they kind of cover me quite well.
Oh, you're a nice pudding.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, at least you're not long and gangly like me. Nothing fits.
But also, everybody, which is really good, and you might not realise, is they've made a programme for the events, and it's very informative. It's not just about who the sponsors are and everything else that goes with it.
Definitely.
It's got the driver standings in it from obviously the previous rounds. So you've got information regarding the track layout, what the judges are looking for. It's also got team information as well.
It does.
So they've got some interviews.
They've got some interviews. There's an interview with me in this one, so I'm going to plug that.
Oh, obviously.
This round, there's an interview with me, so you can learn a little bit about what I'm all about. There's a page where you can get signatures off the drivers. That's a good one.
That'll be handy for tomorrow when they
really
have the
good
open
one.
track walk as well.
There's all sorts in there. Drivers,
they've done a local drivers info as well, haven't they? So some of the local guys have had interviews as well, which is good. It also got some voucher or money off vouchers, so you get 10% if you've got a programme. So I don't know, if you're in the market for buying some Samco hoses and you've bought a £2.50 programme, it might save you a fortune on when you come and buy bits for your own car.
You might as well.
Absolutely. But also, it's got the relevant information for today's event, as well as the, like you said, tomorrow's pro, but it's got the pro standings in there. And it's good because it gives you a picture of the driver versus a picture of the car, so you can put a face to a driver and to a car number as well.
That's always really good.
It is, because then you can see who drivers actually are. No, I'm kidding, guys.
It's great to put a face to the name, though.
It is, because all you ever see is a helmet and a pair over. So it's all right, Mr. Stevenson, you're just in camera shot there. That we're live.
Don't worry about it.
So there you go.
Cheers, boss.
Thanks for getting in shot and getting back out of shot. You can't educate monkeys these days. Just get out of the way.
Can I have a little look at the
You
programme?
can have,
I'm going to have a little look now.
There you go. That's the programme. And it's very informative. It's all about the masterclass.
It actually is. There's all sorts in it. I was reading it earlier on. There's all sorts in there.
Well, I went to Slide Motorsport, because obviously they're one of the key sponsors, as well as obviously being Matt's garage. But I popped in there just to pick up one of these programmes early, do a bit of homework.
be a bit nosy.
Well, yeah,
why not?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
not?
And it just gives everybody that are here, not so much you guys at home, but a bit of an insight as to what goes off.
Yeah, there's all sorts. I mean, there's round ones to watch.
Yeah, there's
what we
driver-
were talking about earlier on.
Yeah,
Drivers to
driver
watch.
bios and
Louis
everything like
Edwards
that.
in there. We were talking about him earlier on.
And it obviously changes for every round. So you could have a collector's edition and get all 6 and get all your favourite drivers, signatures. And we've got guest drivers at every event as well. So for this round, you've got like the likes of Scotty, which is one of the local drivers.
Yeah, not far from here.
No, but also he drove in the Fast and Furious live action arenas as well.
I almost worked with him. I auditioned for that.
Did you? What did they say? You were too northern?
Yeah. No, they did give me some very good feedback, which I was very grateful of. They did compliment me, but there was at the end of the day,
Well,
there were some people that were better than me.
You said you were an old lady, so maybe that went against
maybe
you.
maybe.
Right, well, it looks like we are back with some track action. They've got the drivers gridded up and ready to go. So we are going to go down to our start line. Marshall marks us just as you can see there with the overhead gantry. But these drivers are going to be moved forward, and we are going to start with Paulus, Podium, and Maciek. Well, that sounds like a mouthful, and that's just pronouncing the names.
I like it though. We've got a lot of diversity in our championship.
It's a melting pot of,
certainly is.
of cultural inputs.
I love it. We've got Polish people that live in Ireland that are racing in England. It's all sorts. Love it.
Not just committed. And the Polish are, when it comes to car tuning and the motorsport scene, they're equally as mental up there with the Swedish and the Norwegians. And you know why that is? Because they're not legally allowed to tune road cars in the type of countries.
They get a bit excited about it, don't they?
Yeah, so when it's on, they're mad for. Well, I've not said Poland. But
same with my friends in the rallycross. Yeah, got some Polish, Lithuanian. Got quite a few
love it
drivers there, and they love it.
It's great when you've all got something that you can relate to put your energy in and whatnot into. So on the start line to lead, Maciek out in front on the left hand side, chased by Paulus in the old pink lady. Little bit of separation there. Maciek running that high line, and Paulus is sacrificing a bit of clip 2 just to try and get some proximity as he comes screaming down that first hairpin. Not too much proximity, but he's trying to rein it in a little bit now as he comes through the transition there and just getting on the back of Maciek's car. Wow, just skimming the grass there. Just giving it a bit of a haircut on that inside corner.
Just giving the grass a tickle.
So Maciek there has run the high line, and you can see that they're just following the chase line, just trying to make some ground there as he transitions through smoke. But obviously, he's got the proximity here on the inside. But I think it's going to come down to the next run as ever.
It is.
I'm sure Maciek's daughter's going to be screaming "Daddy" on today, considering it's her birthday.
It's her birthday.
Hence why he's put "Happy Birthday" from Daddy on the side of his car.
Happy birthday from all of us.
Absolutely.
What better way to spend your birthday?
Well, it's Father's Day tomorrow, so why?
And it's Father's Day tomorrow.
Is your dad coming tomorrow?
I'm going to try and tempt him. I'm going to try and tempt him. But he will be going to the speed. I mentioned the speedway. He's going up to the speedway on tomorrow afternoon. So.
Right. So Maciek to chase, Paulus to lead. Maciek needs to kind of play it safe, or is he going to throw it in on the door? Nope. Throws it in. Really poor lead line there from Paulus, but Maciek following him, which isn't really his fault because he's obviously got to try and make do with the lead line that he's got and apply the proximity at the same time. Planting both drivers there just foot flat to the floor as they come through there. Wow.
Well,
Paulus just rubbing the back of the skyline along that clip 7 there. As you can see on initiation, he's really shallow here, mid-track, wrong side of the white lines, way offline, and then just pushes up onto clip 2. And Maciek's just following him. It's not really his error. He's just using the car in front as the clipping point. Not a lot of proximity, but a very, very poor lead run there. So obviously, as they've come through 6 and planted to flat to the floor, there is a bit of separation, but it's whether or not. Oh, just absolutely ploughing into that tyre wall there. Just kept it pinned. So we are over to the judges. They're just having a bit of a conflab. Paulus there with his picture against Mr. Gray. So, as anticipated, Maciek takes the win over Paulus due to the amount of errors caused and the poor lead line there from Paulus. Maciek takes the win. Kind of clear cut really when you see it out of line. Paulus was versus Maciek. So we are up to
Stephen McConnell.
And Ash Jones. Well, Ash Jones, I actually said was Stu Jones, just because he's a Jones, and I know them both really well, and just kind of got.
I have to say, I do still keep getting them the wrong way around. I'm very sorry, the Jones brothers, but
I'm not. I'm kidding. I am, guys. So much of a muchness between these two cars here. You've got Stephen McConnell in the yellow car to lead, qualified slightly higher, versus Ash Jones in the DK ME36 1UZ V8. Bit of separation here from Ash. Whether or not he didn't anticipate for Stephen to be that fast, or whether he's holding back, as you can see, he's reining in a little bit. So maybe a bit of a smart move from Ash there, knowing that he can keep the power on. Yeah, and he's closing the proximity in, but also running that qualifying line. Good line from both drivers, but Ash now starting to apply the pressure. And a solid run from both drivers. Quite a distance between these two.
there was, but he reined him in quickly. Like you say, was that intentional? Did he do that in order to chase him down? Did he do it initially because he wasn't sure how Stephen was going to drive?
Probably so, because obviously he's been practicing with drivers of higher speed who've been entering faster. He's probably held back a little bit just to see, a bit tentative to see what Stephen will do. Yeah, because he won't have. These drivers will practice on their own, and then they will they'll twin battle practice. So they'll go out, and there's no set order. You just go out and drive against. But what drivers tend to do is they will drive along with people they know, because they're comfortable initiating with these guys. So if they've not driven against each other before, that's why he was just allowing for a little bit of a separation to catch up. It's all about commitment. Some of the drivers have battled each other and have absolute momentous ones. It's almost like boxing matches. Oh! Ash Jones there just running the high line, but Stephen coming for him. A lot more proximity from Stephen McConnell there against Ash. All over him on the infield. Might show the horse. Not a lot of difference in horsepower between these. Lucky save there. Stephen McConnell did exactly what Dominic Gates did. So as you can see on the live stream, Stu is high up on the lines, running the qualifying line, which is great. Good proximity there from Stephen as he's chasing him down, and not a lot between them. They're quite close in terms of as they come through the hairpin and then switch back. But as they've come around the corner, it looks like Stephen's got slightly out of line or had a bit of a wobble as he's come off of clip 6. You'll see that he's on the inside of the track. So as he's initiated, he's far too far out. And he's had to back out a bit there to stop himself from crashing into the water barrier again. So I think that might just go against Stephen. And you can't knock his driving all weekend, especially in this little 2.8. 210 horsepower. I think Ashley Jones has got a little bit more power, but the V8 engine weighs a bit more, so the power to weight is going to be very similar between these two drives, and it actually looks like Ashley's not driving on the nitrous. So whether there's an issue, I know he said he had some issues with the micro switch on them.
I'll pretend I know what one of them is. I know a little bit, but like
when he puts his foot flat to the floor, there's a switch that allows the NOS to work, and if that's not working, he's not getting the extra 150 horsepower nitrous oxide, which then bumps the power up. So the judges are obviously just having a bit of a conflab to see where the list of errors lies with or against, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, they're seriously debating some of this, I think, to make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're probably wanting to know. They'll talk to each other because they'll pick up on certain things as well. They said that, he had an error near this clip, and he had an error near that clip, and vice versa. So they'll just keep conferring a little bit to see, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, and whether or not they, think it's a one more time or so on and so forth. By the way, a BMW is going to win. It's just whether it's a blue one or a yellow one.
It's quite a safe answer.
Oh, Ryan, Brad, John,
Fab.
Ashley Jones takes the win over Stephen. I'm going to go across to the judges just so we can get a bit more of a clear-cut picture as to what these guys were conferring against. So over to you, gents.
Yeah, so we're just having a little deliberation about that. It came down to Stephen's mistakes on his chase run, coming across in front of us. He got himself in the wrong position, dropped one, potentially two wheels the other side of the track to us, and then had to back out going towards clip 7. Whereas Ash's mistakes was a slight wobble between 5 and 6. And you just got to look at the mistakes to what was going on. And Stephen made more mistakes than Ash.
Right, so there we have it. It looks like it was all down to the slight errors between each drivers, obviously, which made Ash take the win. Right, so up on the line, Louis Edwards.
Louis Edwards.
In the Louis Motorsport. Yeah, against Lee Lawrence. Probably not a lot of power difference between these two cars. Obviously, Lee being in the 4-pot SR20 versus the straight 6 NA. And Louis there, high up the track, great on the qualifying line, giving Lee all the opportunity to chase him, but Lee way out of sorts onto clip 2 there. All Louis doing is running the qualifying line, like we said earlier, and Lee's having a mare behind him. He's throwing all the errors in there.
He absolutely is. I wonder if there's a little bit of pressure getting to him now, because Lee is one of those drivers, well, so is Louis as well, to be fair, but Lee is one of those drivers that you see a lot of consistency from. He's so comfortable in his car as well. Nothing's ever an issue for him. Nothing's ever too much of a challenge. He's just got to kind of keep a cool head about it, and he's just done a few mistakes there, really.
Yeah, but obviously, like we mentioned earlier, lead driver's just doing his own thing, because that's all he can do in the lead position. And he'll not know that, Lee's having an absolute mare behind him. For all intents and purposes, you're driving thinking he's all over you. What else can you do? Nothing. It's obviously then when it changes around into that chase position, that's when in your head, unless your spotter's told you on the radio that he's had a really bad run, you need to be pushing, they'll be telling him he's actually had a few errors. You might be able to hold back a little bit, just run the qualifying line.
Do a safe line, qualifying line, and that might just be enough to keep you in, let the other guy make the mistakes.
You've got it. So we've got Lee Colgate Lawrence to lead us out, as we've got Louis Edwards to chase. I'm sure these guys have been all over the spotter's microphone, giving them the information they need. As you can see, Lee there a little bit faster this time round on his lead run, but Louis not letting him get too far away and still continuing to follow that line and have the proximity. A few clutch kicks from both drivers there, just trying to get the power up. I do like Louis' driving style as well, not taking anything away from Lee, who's given him a really good lead line to be able to chase. Fantastic run that time round from both guys.
Excellent strong run.
Yep, you can see Lee initiates. He's quite high up the track, which obviously gives Louis the opportunity to get on the door and to chase that rear quarter panel. But Louis run that line. He didn't sacrifice any of the track to gain proximity like Lee had on the first run round. So, looking at it from my point of view, I would say it's advantage Louis, but obviously, it's down to the judges.
Yeah,
due to Louis having a better all-rounded chase run versus Lee scrappy.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with that. I think, other than that kind of big mess up sort of after clip 3 with Lee on the first run, it was still a decent run, which is what we've come to expect from him, but yeah, I think that just kind of swayed it, didn't it?
And as it shows, Louis Edward takes the win over Lee Lawrence, and like I said, I'm getting the nod from the judges. It's down to more of less of a errors from Louis, just running a better line.
That's what it comes down to.
When it's quite clear cut, it's easy to explain rather than having to go across the judges who don't like talking to people. They just want to get slated online for poor judging. I'm kidding, by the way.
difficult job for them, isn't it? Though
I would
like
not
you
wanna
say,
be
because
paid.
it's a judge sport. It's down to opinion.
It's always controversial, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And not everyone's going to agree.
No.
On what happened.
Can't please all the people all the time. And all these people at home watching who might have an opinion, they weren't in the briefing room. They weren't there when the judges were explaining to the drivers what's required and what they want. So it's great to have an opinion when you're at home watching from outside, but if you were here, you'd probably have a bit more of an opinion, but you're not.
Hopefully there will be next time. We need to get there.
I appreciate some people have got a long way to travel and whatnot and live in different countries, but it's worth it. Right, so we've got Dango, Carl Farrar being chased in by Lewis Baker. Oh, commitment by both drivers as Lewis Baker tries to sacrifice a bit of track to get on the door. But Dango's on a flyer, he's following that lead line. Lewis is cutting track here, Sarah, just trying to get up the inside. Obviously the infield, or the inside line is the shortest way around the track, and that's the only way you're going to make a dive. Oh, big error there from Lewis. Dango having some solid runs in this weekend.
He absolutely has.
He's consistent.
He's another consistent driver, and he's one of the guys you can tell he's having fun.
He's
not taking it too seriously. He's enjoying himself.
If he could have the radio on or the ghetto blaster playing rock music, he'd be in his element. And
I heard he does.
He'd have his hands out the window and everything. He'd be waving to the crowd and whatnot. But again, you can see from this run, Dango runs a really strong lead line.
Yeah, he does.
Lewis just makes the errors behind him. So for me, that would be advantage lead driver 6-4.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But it always comes round to your next
This
battle.
is it.
Absolutely.
It could all change completely.
Clouds looking kind of looming. The wind is up a little bit, but I think we might, by the skin of our teeth.
We'll pull it off, yeah, just.
Absolutely.
It was supposed to change a little bit later on, but we've got enough time, I think, with the driver there.
And here we see Dango just taking that wide line, seeing what Lewis is going to do, initiating a little bit later, but Lewis was mid-track again and then working up towards clip 2 rather than running the outer edge of what the drivers were expected to do. Oh, Lewis has
caught the...
Right, Dango's had to back out a little bit just because Lewis was going off track, and because he's behind, he can see that that's about to happen. Yeah. So that, in my eyes, wouldn't be too much of an error.
No, he had nowhere to go there. He's had to back off to avoid contact with the car in front anyway. If he's seen that he's going to be, slowing down because he's made contact with the
as we see on the live stream, Lewis has worked up towards clip 2, and Dango's run that line as he's come wider. So there's a little bit of gap there, but he's gone in hot look, and Dango's had to back out of it a little bit because he wasn't sure whether the car was gonna pull into an accident. But he's continued to drift after that. So whether the judges see that more of an error on Lewis's part, that will obviously look at the advantage towards Dango. I'm not sure, but I'm sure we will have a decision in a moment.
For me, that has to be Dango, but again, we could be looking at something that I have missed.
They're having a little conflab about it,
They
which obviously. But Lewis stayed in the drift. He clattered the wall, but kept his foot in.
He did. He held it, which was a bonus.
And whether or not Carl's seen the speed that he's about to take around the corner, run wide, and thought, "Hang on a minute, I don't want to follow him in." He's backed out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
but he did continue to drift.
He did. That could have collected them both up, couldn't it? The tyre wall could have kind of sucked him around a little bit, and then it, dragged him off.
So they're going to watch it again. We're going to have another full run look at this to see, So Lewis chucks it in, nice and fast, but he's low on the track there. Look, comes through them and then up towards 2.
Drops
Looks like
a wheel off
drops a wheel as well there.
At least one wheel.
So that's an error, and then he runs out wide here, but he keeps his foot in. But that's obviously an error. Dango's backed out of it a little bit, just to preemptively probably save himself, thinking, "Hang on a minute, I could potentially run into him." And then Dango's clattered the wall there as well behind him at clip 6. So it's a catalogue of errors.
That's the first time.
Oh, you see.
There we go.
It's a catalogue of errors, but it's which one the judges deem.
Yeah. Before I saw the tap from Dango, to be fair, I thought, no, Dango's got it. But actually, now I've seen that.
Yep.
Don't know.
One of the other things that tends to happen as well from a chase driver's point of view is you're concentrating so much on the driver in front. If they fall off the track, 9 times out of 10 you follow them off as well.
Yeah, because you're kind of trying to follow them.
Exactly.
So you're not looking
and
at
you automatically pull the drift in the car and everything else off track, following them off circuit. So judges are just having a little bit of a hoo-ha.
It's tense waiting for the decision.
It is.
Do you reckon it's going to say one more time?
Don't know. I'm not sure if there was enough errors. Now you can see the bottom of the screen, Ryan Pothecurry, or I used to call him Ryan Loves a Curry.
Does he?
No.
Oh.
And then you've got Brad there, just mid-shot. Over his shoulder, you can't see wearing a gilet. See how I said that? That's John.
Not a gillet.
Gillet. No, not a gillet. As northern as we are, it's a gillet, but it's a gilet. Is John Calvert. So the three of them there, just multitude they're all ex-drivers as well,
yeah.
And very good ex-drivers who've kept their hand in by being given a lifeline from Matt Stevenson to be involved. Oh, you see, look, the camera just moved across.
There we go, we can see
look
them
at
all
his,
now.
there you are. And John's local as well. He used to be a spotter for me, Matt and Adam back in the slide days many moons ago. I think the last time he watched competitive drifting was in Knockhill in Scotland, many moons ago.
Been there for a while.
Fantastic circuit.
It's a great little
From
circuit.
a driver's point of view, it's immense to throw a car sideways over that hill, over 60 mile an hour down the hill.
Yeah.
But it's quite difficult from a spectator's point of view. You miss some of the aspects. Unlike here at Teesside, where you've got the natural auditorium, exactly, because you're higher up and you can see everything that needs to be on track action. We've also going to have today at some point. We're going to have a team. Are we having a team event, Mr. Stevenson? So just getting the nod. We're going to so the drivers are going to have a team event. I'm going to go out in 3-man trains.
I can't wait for that.
But maybe even 4 or 5-man trains.
No way.
Did you swear then?
I said no
Oh,
way.
I thought you said 4-man trains. I thought you got all excited and giddy. Right, so the judges have confirmed the multitude of errors from both drivers have forced them to take a one more time decision, and that is the fairest way that they can decide. I think they just, didn't want to make a call. No, I'm kidding. They wanted to go to it one more time. There was errors from both drivers that forced it to be not too much from Lewis when he hit the wall versus obviously Dango hitting the wall again and backing out of the drive. So that's what obviously the errors have caused one more time.
Yeah, just to clarify, I mean, Carl had a strong advantage. So let's go again. Carl had a strong advantage from his lead run. It was a good lead run. Lewis had made a few errors. Gained his proximity quite late in the run and made a bit of a straighten at 6. But when we switch it round, Lewis, his lead run was okay up until clip 4, where he sort of obviously collided with the wall, which it slowed him up a little bit. But Carl straightened up, and we didn't see that as it affect him enough. The proximity wasn't enough for Carl to back out like that. So we still deem that as one mistake for each driver. And then Carl colliding with the wall that much, it was and straightening up, it just swung it enough for Lewis to take an advantage from that run, for us to need to see it again and have a clear winner.
Right, and there you have it. That is the explanation from our pro judge panel of has-beens, much like the commentators. Or myself.
Excuse me.
Has to be yet.
Oh, has to be, yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Well, you're a motorsport background.
I've got time left yet.
No, you haven't.
Hey.
Yeah, you have. So, right, I'm kidding. The banter is strong with these two.
Love hate, don't we? Love hate.
Love to hate each other. No, definitely not. I'd definitely work with you again.
Hey.
Ian who?
Ian. Sorry, Ian.
Not now, don't know who he is.
That's it. We've got a bond now, haven't we, Ben?
That's it. The interaction is great. So, back on the line, obviously we're going to have Carl Dango Farrar. I'm not sure why he's called Dango. It might be his username. He's his old
MSN
handle. MSN. Dial up. So Dango on the left. Lewis Baker to chase. Nice initiation from Dango, and he will probably slightly higher. Runs that line, but again Lewis dials on a bit too much lock. He's going to straighten here. Yeah, he does. He straightens from having too much lock. Dango just continuing to do what he's been doing, and Lewis making the errors behind him, having that massive straighten just because he had too much angle on. And as you can see from the drone shot there, some really nice overhead angles as they come through the dogleg and over the finish line. But as they initiate, Carl Farrar throws it in slightly high. It runs a little, where it needs to be through clip 2. And this is too much angle from Lewis behind him. He straightens there, look, and then has to reapply the initiate. That's because he's run out of speed and he had too much lock. He had nowhere to go. He couldn't extend the drift further into the corner, so he's had to straighten it back up again and reinitiate and start. And that's why he's close on the inside there, because he's had a straighten and he's able to gain a bit more ground. Because when you're driving sideways, you are much slower than when you are driving straight.
Of course. And he straightened up before the line there too.
Yeah. So we'll switch these guys around. Speaking of drone shots, we once had a superstar get helicoptered out from the middle of this drift circuit.
Really? What kind of superstar was this?
The one and only Shane Lynch.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think he had a super important gig to get to, but wanted to commit to his drifting then, and decided that he was going to get the helicopter to pick him up.
If you've got the means, if you've got your own private helicopter, then why not?
That's it. And then left his team to take the car home.
Oh, yeah, great.
The pros live. So Lewis Baker initiates Dango. Lewis, similar to Dango's lead line, but off track again.
Yeah.
Having a massive wobble. Dango had to back out of that because Lewis came in field because he ran wide. We'll watch what's happening for the rest of it, but we'll go back to the replay.
Ooh, crikey!
That
was a hard impact.
So Louis off track here at this point, and when the camera switches, look, it straightens out there. Yeah. Dango's had to come.
He's forced himself on further in track, hasn't he? And Dango's had nowhere to go. Basically.
But the best bit is yet to come.
The best bit is yet to come.
Is the finish line.
So poor Walls took a beating today.
It's going to take a bit more as well by end of today. And then as he's come over the corner, look, he's clipped the wall, and what's he done? Pull the front in, look, like I said.
Yeah,
and he's
spun.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
But luckily, he spun and stayed on the track. He didn't spin into the grass. If he'd have hit the grass, he'd have.
Yeah,
he'd have been into.
Once you hit the grass, you're just a passenger, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Considering the bang that made, there's just nothing on the car. It's fine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like I said, they space frame these cars as well. So on the back end, bolted off the back of the chassis rails, they will have a protective bar, not very thick tubing, which just is to support the bumper.
Yeah.
They'll have a more structural one further in if they've got a fuel cell in the back, depending what they've got on it. But other than that, it's just for hanging lights and hanging the bumper off that. So we're going to go, and as we've just explained, Carl Farrar takes the win over Lewis Baker there. It's pretty clear cut from the degree of errors from Lewis that unfortunately it was too many, and Dango takes the win. So we're going to see the RX-7 Police County car move on into the Grade 8. So
we've got some more drivers just warming up the tyres now. So we've got Ian Rutherford, our local guy.
Yep, supercharged V8. Probably runs about 2 psi in that. Oh, maybe 3 psi. That
nice.
Pounds per square inch, i.e. turbo versus supercharged pressure. Yep. I know it's pretty geeky.
No, I like it. I like the geeky stuff.
Yeah.
I like to understand all of that kind of stuff.
So some of these turbo cars will be running about 1.2 to 1.4 bar, which is what, around about 15, 16?
I always forget. Yeah,
16
like
psi, give or take. Whereas supercharged runs a lot less, runs about 3. So that's why it just sounds lazy, because it's not overstretching itself.
But it's consistent.
Correct.
That's the difference.
What is it? There's no replacement for displacement.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Only milk should come in 2 litres.
Do you know what? My other half says that all the time, but that's because he's got a big Mercedes Sprinter van with a massive engine in it. It's not quite a drift car, but he sort of thinks it is.
Oh, absolutely. Right, Ian Rutherford, higher qualifier to lead in Danny Maguire. Faint entry there from Ian Rutherford, not using the handbrake, just weight transferring the car, allowing him to carry more speed as he comes up through clip 2. But look at the gap that he's pulled. But Danny Maguire's got a bit more power, which he's got available to be able to claw some of that back. But if Ian can keep the line, which he is doing, he's enabling Danny to be able to chase him a little bit more. Yeah, solid lead run there from Ian Rutherford, giving Danny Maguire all the opportunity. Look at the faint entry, just weight transfers, not much use of the handbrake, and then Danny can just plough the power in. But they pull quite a bit of separation through this point here, look. but Danny's got more horsepower to be able to claw that back.
So he's doing that balancing act again, isn't he? Trying to not dial in too much power and overcook it and keep up to Ian's speed, really.
Yeah, it's easier to lose when you're going way too committed. If you're going way too committed and get too close, you've got to back out a bit. That's when you lose.
And you mess up then, and you get grip and straighten up or what have you.
So we'll switch these guys around. Danny Maguire is probably going to go out of this chicane like a scalded rat.
Yes.
He will be flat to the floor and gone. Which is going to beg the question, is Ian Rutherford going to have enough to catch him? As you can hear there, not much separation. Nice entry there from Danny Breeze. Was a little bit low through the white lines, but again, it gives Ian the opportunity to have some proximity. As they come through, nice transition through the smoke there, and plenty of proximity from Ian Rutherford as they transition through. Whether or not he can keep that together now, and they can.
Nice.
Much, and a round of applause there for Ian Rutherford, putting a really good chase run in there against Danny Maguire. As you can see on the replay, Ian's not letting him get too far away, but he's not sacrificed line to have to do that. Danny's gave him all the opportunity, and he's on his door. He's following him. Danny's running that a great line, but he's obviously giving Ian every opportunity to be able to chase him. They push out wide here, and he's just got so much more proximity as they come through the dogleg and over the line. A lot more than what Danny had over Ian. My predictions are that Ian Rutherford is probably going to take the win based on proximity of the two drives.
I would have found it quite hard to judge that, so I shall let you do the guesstimate on this one.
I'm going to go. I'm a 96.2% sure that Ian Rutherford is going to take the win.
It's very specific.
Because of the proximity that he had over Danny Maguire. And
it looks like once again, all right, you're right.
And yeah, as we can show, it is Ian Rutherford takes the win over Danny Maguire. Man of many talents, master of none.
Who's that, Rutherford, or you?
Me. As I update my battle sheet. So, up next,
the young god, Will Gibbs.
Will Gibbs against Rob Johnson.
I was waiting for the little cheer then as the fans disappeared. Where's Rob Johnson's
come on,
fans?
Where's the Rob Johnson
there
fans?
Hey!
I
thought they'd got a bit quiet there. I thought they'd got tired.
I'm glad Rob's brought his support team. Charlie and Liam have come along to support. They're so happy to be here.
They're looking like, oh God,
it's like, Dad,
no.
There's no Fortnite here, it's terrible. Right, Will Gibbs leading in, Rob Johnson chasing. Will there taking a bit of a wide swing in, but Rob not allowing him to get too far away. A little bit of a wobble there from Rob. Whether he can collect it all up and keep Will in his sights as they transition through. Both these drivers running JZ engines in these cars. A little bit of a wobble there from Will in the lead run. Not a bad run. Couple of errors from both drivers.
Yeah, I mean, Will seemed to straighten up a little bit at clip 6 there.
Yep, exactly. Rob's come in, just flicked it in on lock. Managed to stay with Will, but Will's obviously, he's had a bit of a wobble, a bit too much angle, then a bit of a straight, and then he's had to not reinitiate, but he'll have tried to weight transfer the car in a bit more without having to sacrifice using the handbrake. As they come through the transition through, again, he's on his door, but there's a straight, and he's kind of straight as he comes to an, it's like he's had to reinitiate almost from Will, and then obviously Rob's come over the line. I'm going to throw it down to the next run and see what happens. As you can see, a great shot there of the chicane and how tight it is that the drivers have to slow up a little bit, enabling the chase driver on the left hand side a straight run in. So otherwise it could be a power race off the line, and you could get beat.
You don't want that.
No, because all it does is...
It's not a speed race.
Correct.
That's it, isn't it? It's too tempting to try and overtake, isn't it?
It is allowed. Overtaking is allowed, but we'll talk about that afterwards. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Teach me, yes, I need to know
absolutely. Rob Johnson there, carrying mega speed. Louis just flicked a bit too much angle on and sacrifices proximity. Quite a bit of a ground between these two drivers. Rob Johnson, he's probably faster than he actually realises compared to some of these other cars.
Yeah.
Because every time he gets out front, he manages to pull quite a bit of distance on the chase driver. Yep, absolutely. And I think I've hit the nail on the head there with Rob Johnson just carrying so much more speed than everybody else. And I think that's what's a little bit unnerving for him, is when he's chasing, the other drivers are not as quick as what he's expecting them into the first corner. So obviously if he is going to be battling other drivers later in the day, his spotters need to be telling him, hang back a little bit, or who you're going to be battling, and then look as to what to do. Because as you see here, you know, as they come out of this and then over the line, Rob's flat to the floor, he crosses through the dogleg, and he's got quite a bit of proximity between the two drivers. So I think, based on errors and speed and everything else, I think it's going to be the slimmest of margins, Rob Johnson, but it's going to be a difficult one to call. These guys are having a chat about it. But overtakes, let's go back to that while we wait for a decision. So,
enlighten me on this.
Overtaking is allowed if the lead driver is so far off track, i.e. out of position and out of line, and you following the correct line, undertake, that's considered an advantage and a win. Right, as we can see, Rob Johnson takes the win over Will Gibbs, and a one more time from one of the judges, but overruled because it's a 2-1 majority. So, are we going to go to the judges for this? Right, we're going to go across to the judges just to get a clearer picture of why. I think I know why from explaining it, but obviously I'll get it from these guys. So, across to our panel.
Okay, so let's break that one down. Gibbs had a straighten on clip 4, 5 and 6, and Robert wavered behind him between clip 2 and 3. And then even though Rob had a good lead run, he was down low on the bank, which we asked for the drivers to be high up on the bank to run a good qualifying line so the chase car could chase that car. And Gibbs lacked proximity compared to the run before. So therefore I agreed that it was one more time because both drivers made equal amount of mistakes, and that's why I chose to go one more time. Yeah.
Just to clarify for me and John, we thought that Rob's chase was aggressive enough and the wobble wasn't quite as serious as Will's straighten. And then Rob's lead was fairly on point, wasn't high enough on the bank as we wanted, but the rest of the run was good, on point, and he pulled a gap as well.
So there we have it. As we kind of clarified, I think it was more down to Rob's initial speed and the catalogue of errors from a couple of from both of them actually, but Rob's lead run taking the advantage there, which gave him the overall win. Right, next up, Jamie Stevens, the Faster E30 V8 turbocharged Scania truck turbo. I think it's truck turbo.
It better be, because I'm excited about that now.
Well, if
You're
not,
feeding me false information.
No, I look like an absolute fool, and it won't be the first time, and it probably won't be the last time. So here we have Nagas just doing his obligatory warm-up donut. Get both these drivers up onto the line, ready to go. This is going to be interesting. Is it? Oh, hang on. So Jamie Stevens there got the green light from Malks. Nagas has sat on the start line. So whether Nagas has done his warm-up donut and the car shut off,
something must have happened. He hasn't even set off at all at the moment, has he? So
no,
there's got to be some kind of issue there.
I think, and it is exactly that, just a think. Some of these cars have got safety features and cutouts on them, where if you obviously do it, as you can see, he's trying to signal to Mal. Whether the car's running or not, I can't tell from here because obviously there's no volume attached to that. But whether or not his start line's a go and the car's not got power or anything like that and whatnot, but I'm sure we'll find out from our man on the ground, Malks.
So Ben, obviously on that run, Jamie Stevens is going to get the advantage there, clearly, for obvious reasons.
Absolutely, yeah.
But does that then overrule a second run? Would they not do it the other way around?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll run another run.
They will do it.
What happens if Jamie Stevens falls off track?
This is true.
So it's a 10-0 advantage Jamie Stevens right now. But if Jamie has a spin, it goes 10-0 advantage to obviously Nergis, then you're back to square one. You're back to it one more time.
But then would it not go down to who made the first error? But it's not. Is it not an error because he hasn't
it's
run?
Not an error because he's not
this
run.
This is the stuff I'm trying to get my head around.
So it'll run twice.
Right.
So obviously at the minute it's 10-0 advantage to Jamie. They'll run again.
Yeah.
Jamie's just got to put a safe run in.
Yeah.
But he's got to drift.
Yeah.
But not obviously let Nergis get too mad checks. Is he mad? Yeah, sorry. Not let Nergis get too far away. So obviously if he does, then it's classed as an inactive drift because there's too much separation. So it's more about right. Okay. So we're going to get some feedback here. It might be right. It was on inactive drift because Jamie jumped at the line apparently, and Nergis was in the right to stay where he was. So as we can see at the minute, that's what the information we were waiting on getting back. So Jamie's done a run on them tyres, one more run than he needed to do, but he's also got to do another run again in the smoke machine. So great run by Nergis there, to be fair, trying to follow that smoke machine. It looks like the information we're getting is Malks had gone to give the thumbs up on the initial go, because what he'll do, he'll look at the drivers, give them the thumbs up, and then he will signal that they're going to go. On the thumbs up, Jamie's just gone for it.
Got a bit too excited.
He got a bit too excited, and he's prematurely jumped the line.
Wow.
Out the door, bolted. So hence why Nergis has just sat there, because he's
you
like,
weren't supposed to be setting up.
You aren't told me to leave yet.
Yeah.
So he sat there and waited, and then we've come back round to do it again.
So does that mean that run didn't count? The first one that wasn't really a run.
Yeah, it didn't count because obviously he jumped the lines. Hence why they'll swap positions. But what will happen now is that Jamie Stevens has done 2 runs on one set of tyres, and we know that high power smoke machines around here only do 3 runs on them. So he's probably only got one run left in these tyres. And it depends how much he might have used up quite a bit of the grip levels in them, because these tyres do go off through the heat cycles and things like that. So we're just getting just waiting to find out what's happening at the moment and where we're at in terms of the track layout. So while we're at it and they're having a bit of a conflab, we'd just like to thank our fantastic sponsors who make all this possible. So you've got X-Night Energy, guys who put the drinks on for today as well, AM Detailing and Funk Motorsport, M-Tech Brakes as well for their stopping power, Samco Sport, well renowned within the motorsport community, Simpson Helmets as well as safety devices who put some great feedback into this. And we're off the line and gone again. So here we have it. We swapped it around. Jamie Stevens to chasing Nergis. Bit of separation here. Whether or not Jamie's anticipating Nergis to be slower and then apply the gas, but he's been left standing. Nergis, clouting, right, and Jamie Stevens there having a spin. He's going to be kicking himself for that, whether or not he's damaged the back of the E30. Quite scrappy from both drivers, if I'm honest. And it looks... His head's gone. I've done that. You've had one spin and then tried to continue.
Once you kind of mess up one part, you can't get your head back in it to do it again. It just doesn't work.
Left foot braking, rolling burnout.
Love it.
That's for the fans.
Well,
Jamie Stevens there doing a left foot braking burnout off track.
You did say you might not have much tyre left. That's one way to get rid of the last bit.
Maybe so. But anyway, I think it's quite clear cut that if Jamie Stevens had the spin on there, it's going to be advantage. Advantage and win
to Nergis.
Yep, and as we can confirm, Never just takes the win over Jamie Stevens due to the spin. Not sure where the confusion came down to earlier with the start, for jumping the start, but there we have it. That's what we are working with.
Oh, look at him hugging his car.
Oh, bless.
She served him well, and he did go and give a little thumbs up to Jamie Stevens as well. Good sportsmanship.
Yeah, there is. The sportsmanship and the camaraderie between these drivers is second to none.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
amazing.
It is.
They can battle on the limit with each other, Rubbins racing and all that, bash each other's cars, and as soon as they get out, they're like, "All right, mate," and shake each other's hand, and it's back to friends again, and it's.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It's fab.
Racing incidents happen, as long as there's never any malice intended.
No, that's it.
Exactly. If these things happen, they happen. And sometimes you've been on the receiving end, and sometimes you've been the one doing the damage.
And they know that they're certainly not out there to do anything intentional, so they can
as long
push it.
Yeah,
push it.
As long no one gets hurt, and panels can be repaired, and you can have a beer afterwards and a laugh and a joke about it. You just take it down to experience it being racing and drifting. Right, so we've got Devidas in the E46 turboed BMW on the left-hand side. Martin Cowley on the right-hand side in the chase position. Martin having an absolutely storming chase run on his top 32 battle earlier. Can he do it again? And here we have it. Devidas in the lead position. Martin Cowley initiating quite early and being quite low down South Bank, sacrificing what looks like some of the line to try and gain proximity there. Nevertheless, running a really, really strong outer drive line on the edge of the track, dialing quite a bit of lock in there, but still giving Martin enough room to twin. Wow, solid run there, lead run. As you can see from the initial initiation here, Devidas comes in, Martin's early, he's mid-track as he comes up, and he's quite shallow there, obviously trying to make some proximity up as Devidas runs, the outer line, nice and wide, fast transition, comes through the smoke. And again, as they push out wider, Martin's just dropped back to a little bit. You always do in that area. It seems to be one of them areas where you put your foot down and nothing seems to happen, and then all of a sudden the car's gone. It's
a strange old angle in the track as well. It's not really a corner, it's not really a straight, it's a bit of a...
Yeah, as you come through the dogleg as well, where they've placed these water barriers, you used to run wide onto a bit of, there's a little bit of concrete which is not as grippy as the actual track surface.
I've karted around this, and that is right.
It is.
Even when you're an inch off the floor, it's right. It's not the same surface.
You know it, you know it. I've karted around it as well, and it's a hell of a...
It's crazy.
The largest kart track in
Europe, apparently, the longest one.
So Martin Cowley's initiated there. Devidas has had to run been mid-track on South Bank, but got the proximity through the smoke. As both drivers power through the dogleg and over the line, a little bit more proximity from Devidas there, but that's going to be a hard one to call, as you can see. From this initiation, he's closer to Martin. Martin comes in. Devidas is really low mid-centre of the trackers. They've come round the corner, but he's carried quite a lot of speed and momentum as they've come down towards clip 3, which means he is naturally closer. It looks like it's a bit of a straight in there in the chase run.
That's what I spotted as well, as a couple of times when he's kind of just sort of being a little bit untidy, but like you say, he's got a lot more proximity.
Yeah,
Martin did so.
He's carrying quite a bit more speed, so whether or not the proximity is a gain and outweighs the errors.
Judge that?
But we are going to line these guys up, and then we're going to go across to our judges, and then we will see who's who. The judges are having a conflab at the minute. They're trying to see what's what. Girls getting a shimmy on, probably trying to stay warm.
Yeah, probably. It's getting a bit chilly out there now.
It is.
Can someone get these girls a coat?
You sound like the mum.
Yeah, looks like they're going, please. Somebody throw them a jacket.
You're not going out in that tonight.
I told you I'm an old lady. I feel sorry for them, right?
Sorry, old Mother Hubbard.
I'm not even ashamed, mate. Call me that. I'm not even ashamed of that.
Right, just to let you guys know, tomorrow we have got a passenger ride that is up for a raffle with Ollie Bolton. So apparently there's going to be a raffle, and you guys can win a passenger lap around here with Oliver Bolton. So,
how'd you do that? Because I want to go.
all right, okay, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the. I think I'll speak to Matt about that, but I think they're going to have a raffle where you can buy some tickets that are going to go towards to win a passenger ride with Ollie Bolton. So
make sure you get one of them. That is worth it.
I even brought my helmet. I might even go for a spin.
Oh, well, if I win, I'll borrow your helmet. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I'll let you go for a little pootle. But, right, and we're up with the drivers. So, Devidas takes the win over Martin Cowley. I am going to hand this over to the judges because it's not as clear-cut as I initially thought.
No.
So, across to our panel.
So, if we take this quite simply, the lead runs were actually fairly similar. Both of them did a reasonably good lead run. They were a little bit shallow between 1 and 2. The main difference was the better proximity from Devidas. He brought the fight earlier, kept with Martin for longer of the run, and didn't drop away towards the end of the track. Martin unfortunately just dropped away, which gave Devidas that slight advantage, which gave him the win.
And there you have it. Quite clear cut, really.
Well, it is. This is another example. They were clearly looking for different things to what we saw, and that's a brilliant explanation because I wouldn't have been able to call that. So that's great to understand how they made that decision.
Oh, rightly so, because these guys, they're not concentrating on the commentating and what we're looking at doing. They're just concentrating solely on getting the right call. And Ryan is a mainstay of the UK drifting judge panel. It's just, if he's available for bar mitzvahs and weekends, no, any other judging commitment. But yeah, he's been doing it a long time, and again, they're all former drivers, so they know what they're looking for because obviously they've explained it to these guys. So on the line, we have Ashley Jones, who I keep calling Stuart, but not on this occasion because it flashes up, says Ashley. And I've had 1,000,001 text messages from crew and pits and saying, stop calling him Stuart.
It's tricky.
I'll call him Jonah.
We've got a couple of brothers, and it's hard to
go on, Jonah.
Remember who's who.
Up against Magic.
Sorry, Ashley.
Magic Blaze Jet Ski.
Magic Blaze Jet Ski.
Yep, against our Jonah. So Ashley Jones to lead in a slightly slower underpowered car to Magic, which might show Magic way out of line down the circuit there. That's why he's got a little bit of proximity as they come on to clip 3, but way out of sorts.
I did think he was trying to get a bit wider and catch him again there, but again he was shallow into that corner.
Yeah, totally. I think he's underestimated the power that Ashley Jones does not have.
Yes, I think that's it. Again, it's that balance. He straightened up a little bit there as well. It's that balance again that he's trying to find because he's got a higher powered car, so he's trying to rein that power in a little bit and kind of guesstimate really what Ashley's going to be doing.
I totally agree. As you can see on the replay there, Ashley's come around onto the inside of the hairpin there. Nice wide line. Transition's nice towards clip 5. As he's come towards 6, it looks like he's had a look there, straighten and then initiated again. So that's through Matchek all out of position. But Matchek sacrificed that much of the track earlier. He wouldn't have been in that position if he hadn't sacrificed the track. So it's, like you say, it's much of a muchness and swings and roundabouts. And these guys will be... So we're going to swap these guys around and get Ashley in the chase position and Matchek in the lead. So we're just getting confirmation that we are good to go. Oh, the judges are chatting, are they? Oh, okay. So the judges are still just,
deliberating.
I think they're just talking about what they're having for tea.
Probably. We're getting a bit peckish up here now, aren't we? It's that time of day. We need some snacks.
It's gone 11s.
It's gone 11s for sure. Hey, you know these raffle tickets?
Yes.
You get them at the merch tent. I've been informed.
Oh, right, okay.
At the merch tent. So if you want the chance to win a passenger ride with Ollie Bolton tomorrow.
Well,
merch
so
tent.
we and also
It's for charity.
it is for
isn't
charity.
It's
So
for
the
charity
money,
as well.
the money that gets raised is for Lymphoma Action, Inform, Support, and Connect. So obviously for a cancer charity
Brilliant. Amazing cause, and you might get a passenger ride
there. Absolutely.
in a pretty wicked
Right.
car as
So
well.
these guys are off, and Mad Check's going to be flat to floor, as you can see, pulling good 5 car lengths there on Ash, and that's the power difference. Mad Check's got a really good line there, and I think that's the difference between him anticipating a lower powered car versus his own horsepower. Actually not doing anything wrong really, just kind of being out-carred in terms of
that's it.
power.
So he just needs to bring in a safe run now and run the qualifying line
Yep.
for any chance of an advantage there.
Exactly. And that can be the deciding factor. Obviously, as you see from the initiation here, Matt Check's a lot quicker, runs a higher line.
Yeah.
He's on the outside of the track, exactly where the judges wanted. Ashley's not out of position. It's just the horsepower difference between these two cars.
There's just no way he can keep up.
Even with the handicap of having the chicane on the start line, it's still not enough.
No.
Where sideways, once these cars have got to get the power down, that's where it shows.
When there's a big power difference like that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the only way he could actually get any space on him is to sacrifice everything, and
he didn't.
There's no point.
No, he
really.
didn't sacrifice the line.
Yeah.
But that's going to have gained him. I won't say gained him more points, but it's not going to have hindered him by
Yeah.
because if he sacrificed the line, that's where they would have stripped points from him. He continued to run the line, and they'll just go off the off the gap difference. So as we go across to our judges, I'm going to edge my bets. Yeah, I'm going to edge my bets with Mad Check. And I can confirm Matt Check takes the win over Ashley Jones, and it's going to be down to not being outdriven, outpowered, and potentially the gap difference between the two drivers. But we will go across to our judges so they can explain in full the whys and wherefores.
Okay, so let's just break that one down. So Ash had a really, really good lead run. He was running the perfect qualifying line, and up until clip number 5, Ash had the advantage. It was between clip 5 and clip 6 that Ash shut down the car and straightened. It wasn't a straighten like he was on power and the car lost angle. It was a straighten based on the fact that the car snapped straight because he shut the vehicle down. Although Marczek's chase run wasn't much to look at because he was lower on the bank trying to sacrifice too much line to gain the proximity, but as that straighten outweighed the mistakes made in the next run, therefore the lack of proximity from Ash and the mistake from Ash in the first run therefore gave us the decision to put Maciek through.
And there we have it. That is the whys and wherefores. This is going to be an interesting battle because both the drivers that are up next, Louis Edwards and Carl Farrar, have been consistent. They've been running very, very good qualifying lines. There might be a little bit of power difference between the two. So whether or not Dango is going to throw it away chasing a slightly, I won't say slower, but underpowered car, or is Louis just going to, be consistent, follow the line, and let Dango make all the mistakes behind him? They've both been very, very strong in their lead runs.
They have. I can imagine Louis will be again. Now he's very good in the lead run. He just keeps his cool and kind of ignores what's going on behind him.
Yep.
So let's see if we can do that again.
So as we've come in, look, really high on the bank. Both of them running a very, very clean lead runs, the qualifying lines. So much of a muchness between them. Dango not letting him get too far away, but giving him the space just in case something goes wrong. Which is smart driving. Dango's been doing it long enough. He knows the score.
He does.
Well, on the door. Oh, Louis Edwards there, looking like he backed out of it slightly, and Dango fully committed in. That was an exciting finish to that run. Both drivers high, running up through the 3 clipping zone, clipping wheel areas where you can see, the closer than they are, it gives a bit of depth for the judges to see. Really, really nice outside lines, gives plenty of room for Dango to transition. They're both matching each other, quite similar. As they've come around this corner, this is where it starts to show the power difference. Dango reins him in. As they change transition here, look, Louis off power there. Dango almost clattered into him. The reason why Louis will have been off power there is if he'd have kept his foot in, he probably would have gone a little bit too wide and maybe forced himself out onto the barriers. So, you know, sometimes it's easier
lift
to
it off slightly.
lift off slightly, and the car will naturally scrub speed to slow down. So I think that's what might have just happened. But we'll switch him around and we will see.
Is that going to go into a negative for Louis though? Or does it not really matter?
Yeah,
'Cause,
potentially. Potentially it will. It could go against him because obviously he's off power in a power area.
Let's see what happens in reverse.
Absolutely.
Like you said, they're both quite comfortable as lead drivers, so when you put them two together...
Massive drag on the handbrake for Dango.
Where's he?
Yeah, no, he's not driving, he doesn't drive. Yeah, Dango just... A lot of extension there on the handbrake. But again, runs that wide line, it gives Louis plenty of area. Louis got a nice transition as they've come through the inner circuit on their hairpin, and this is where you might see Dango just extend his lead slightly.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dango
well and
just
truly scraped the wall there.
Yeah, pulling loads. Let's just watch this initiation. Dango flicks it in, drag, and then off power, so he's all on the handbrake, which actually gives Louis the opportunity to try and get as close to him as possible, as they've come nice and wide out towards clip 3. As you can see, he runs the outside line, which is fantastic from a chase point of view, because it gives you all the room that you need to get on the rear quarter panel. And this is where the power that Dango's got just edges out Louis. You know, he just slightly pulls away a little bit, but Dango's got loads of angle here. You can see he comes over the line. He's got it on nearly on the lock stops. So some Louis supporters in the house, absolutely. You can't take it away from him.
Even Jojo's over there.
Yeah. Supporting. The kid can pedal. He has got a bright future.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. He's one to watch.
Yep. And when he does get that, if he does get the natural progression of power and they go up to a different engine, like we were saying earlier, he's had a very, very good road into that power rather than just having all of it at once and having to deal with it. He's got the right engine. He's getting plenty of seat time. And then it'll go from there. So the judges' scores are in. Which direction is it going to go? Right, it's one for Ryan. It's another one. So Carl Farrar takes the win over Louis Edwards. I want to go across to the judges just to get a little bit of clarity, but I think it's going to be down to proximity. And I don't think Louis has been outdriven. Again, I keep reiterating this. I think he's been outcarred. That's all it is. Maybe just down to the proximity. But over to you guys.
The angle that he was matching with Louis went. I'm going to start again. Right. So, Louis' lead run was reasonable, but he had a little wobble at 3, and he backed off power coming out towards 7, which we did see, and it was quite clear what would happen there. Carl managed the proximity well throughout the run, maintained it, and match the angle as we've asked. When they switched around, Carl's lead was on point. It was a good run. There weren't any real mistakes from Carl at all. Louis chased well, but unfortunately Carl took an advantage from the first run. We've called it even on the second, which puts Carl through from the result on the first.
So, in layman's terms, just a few little wobbles that caused there to be a slightest of win there for Dango. Right, we are going to go back to our start grid. This is a battle that I am excited to see. So you've got Mr. Rob Johnson, who's absolutely flying in a lead position and has been all day, chasing in Ian Rutherford, who also is fast and a local and, has got a great lead line. So this is going to be interesting to see. Maybe Rob's going to give him a little bit of space. No, he's on the bumper. If he wants to win this, he's going to have to commit, and a really, really nice entry from Rob Johnson. Plenty of angle. And not letting Ian get too far away as he scrubs all the speed. Rob Johnson there putting in a fantastic chase run. Not letting him get too far away, putting angle on where he needs it rather than having to brake or reinitiate. But you can't take it away from Ian Rutherford. Show your appreciation for both these drivers. What a fantastic lead and chase run. Ian Rutherford, Rob Johnson. Oh, fantastic to see as the smoke billows into the commentary booth. Ian's running a really, really good outside line. He's been consistent, top 4 qualifier today.
He's been flying today, hasn't he?
And Rob's got someone who can match his speed. That's why his chase run has been far, far better than we've seen earlier, which gives him the confidence to be able to commit fully when it comes to, coming off the clips and using all the lock. It's going to be interesting to see if Ian Rutherford's car's got the legs to compete with Rob when it comes to the amount of speed that he's carrying into that first clip. What you'll see from Rob Johnson here is when he initiates, he's almost fully sideways in towards that clip 1 because he's carrying so much speed. Right, we're on the start line, just waiting on giving. So the judges are just having a little bit of a talk about the run, what's happened, and that's a good thing because that means that they're not concentrating on what's about to happen. They've still got fresh in their mind what's just gone off.
Exactly. Now they've got another run to judge in a minute, and they're going to have to combine that to make a decision.
Right, Ian Rutherford's not given Rob too much room to run away. Rob's got a really, really good lead line, but pretty straight driving from Ian Rutherford there. Massive errors. He's come off a clip 2 towards 3. Had very little angle. Looked like he was almost driving it, which obviously shows now as he's got the proximity coming through the remainder of the hairpins. Yep. Oh, Rob Johnson, he's on fire. Just clouting the barriers there as he's come off a clip 7. Fully committed, as you can see on the replay as we come round. He's very fast, and as you can see, Ian's dropped off the track. He's not got much angle, which there's allowed him to catch up on this inner section of the track. As they come round the corner, Rob's just planted it out of here, pulled legs coming off of clip 6, and he's clattered the wall here on 7. Fully committed there, look, just rubbed him. Pulled, you can see the car pulled obviously to the left-hand side.
It is but a scratch.
Yeah.
Be fine. Be fine.
I would say advantage Rob Johnson, if I am honest.
I think that's two very strong drivers.
That's just my opinion. We're going to wait for the judges.
2 very, very strong drivers, and to be honest, the runs were great, but I just think that Rob had the edge on that one, on that last run. I just think that Ian was just not quite tidy enough, and the main bit being where he kind of almost straightened up, really.
Yeah,
after clip 2.
there was a wobble from 2 to 3 where I think Ian's just dialed some of the lock off. Whether or not he's done that intentionally to try and sacrifice track to gain proximity, but as you can see, it's caused quite a bit of separation as they've finished the last section of the track. So obviously, the judges there just wanting to take a little bit of time to talk about what and why they're going to come to their decision. So this is going to be the final decision battle of our Grade 8, which will then round us off. Sorry, top 16 into our Grade 8.
It's tense. It's tense.
It is. Both drivers have been doing exceptionally well.
They have. It all comes down to fine details, like I said earlier on. When you're at this stage, it's not necessarily an obvious win. Sometimes they've really got to be splitting hairs over who's actually going to take the win.
They were just wanting to see what are these two doing. Cha-cha slide.
Cha-cha slide.
Looks that way. So Rob Johnson there has clattered the barrier, and then they were just seeing if he was,
whether he'd done that before.
Well, as he's come off of clip 7 and he's collected the barrier, it's straightened the car up, and they wanted to see whether or not he was still in control towards the finish line. That might go against him, I don't know. So these guys are just wanting to address that.
Yeah, they just want to make sure that they're making the right call, don't they? And making a fair call.
Plenty of fans out there shouting for one more time. Absolutely. It's nice to see Rob making it up here for this round, as well as bringing his family along with him. Had unfortunate circumstances at round 1. I think he had some gearbox issues where he didn't compete. I think he's one of the old original members of a team that Ryan Pothecary put together a while back with Adam Whedon. an old school name that some people won't even remember.
No, I don't remember.
No,
that one,
you
but
see.
I'm too new to it. So I think we have a decision.
Right, we've got a decision. And the scores on the doors are...
Oh, I'm nervous.
I know, this is quite tense, this.
for
We're
it.
going to see which to... Come on.
I can't favour either. One for Rutherford.
And Ian Rutherford takes the win over Rob Johnson. What a cracking weekend Rob Johnson's had. He's going to be happy with that. These guys have both drove epically, and
They
Rob
have.
there, the sportsmanship, just obviously, giving Ian the handshake. I am going to go across to our judges so we can get an explanation as to why.
Yes, so basically there on the last clip, the clip 7, Rob actually hit the back of these car against the wall there, and he was facing the wrong way before the end of the finish line.
Yep.
So that's why I give him the advantage to Ian.
It's fair enough comment, isn't it, that one?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and like we said, if you're facing the wrong direction as you went over the line, that is going to be an advantage to your competitor.
Absolutely.
If he hadn't have gone full attack,
Full send.
if he'd have
If it
gone
rained it in slightly.
3/4 send, he would have probably took the win. But he's going to be happy with that. The car's not damaged. He's had a great time.
Yeah.
As much as his drifting's
It's
not
a fair
gonna,
battle as well.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is, he obviously gets that. Respects the other driver, shakes
Yep.
his hand.
And that's what's great about this. So we have got Devedas and Nagas.
The last battle to decide. The last member of the final four.
That's correct.
We've got the final. I'm excited for it. It's going to be an interesting one.
It is, absolutely. Oh, that sounded like a bit of a misgear then.
Did a little bit, didn't it? He was high at the bank with
He
his
is.
pink tyre smoke.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
It does, it always looks pink. I don't know if that's intentional.
Do you know what that might be? I think it might be the paint burning off the bumper, causing it to look like a bit of pink tyre smoke.
Quite possibly.
Oh, maximum attack as they come over the line there towards clip
Fantastic
7.
pairing to watch.
Nice drone shot as we see these guys initiate. This start straight is longer than you think. You managed to get to the top of the third at least, and you're well into fourth gear. And your initiation, the wheel speed around this banking is over 100 mile an hour. The cars are not going that fast, but obviously the wheels are spinning at that speed. And then they'll initiate, come through the hairpin and transition. Wide line from Davidas. Again, another driver who's been running a consistent line. He had a few scrappy bits in areas, but again, you're only as good as your last drift.
That's it. And he is quite an aggressive driver, but
Yeah.
in a good way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's confident in what he's doing, and he knows where he wants to go, and he sticks to it. And that usually pays off quite well for him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. These guys, if you want to win one of these events, you have got to be so confident that you want to battle everybody. You don't want. There's no easy run to get to the final.
No, there isn't. There isn't. You've got to be prepared, haven't you, to face anybody as well.
Yeah. A faint flick entry there from Nagas. Again, Devedas. But Nagas mid-track, way off of clip.
And we've got Devedas
Right, Devedas
off the track.
But whether or not... And then drove the last clip over the line. I think the judges are going to probably want to replay it as to what just happened, because if he was stuck in the smoke and couldn't see where he was going, then fair enough.
Yeah, what can you do in that scenario?
No, absolutely.
You, sometimes you can kind of keep your foot in and try and send it, but if you've got nowhere to go, you're obviously trying to do a bit of damage control as well. You're not going to want to hit the person in front, so you've got to back off slightly.
Whether or not he's backed off in the car straight,
I
I don't know.
It, yeah.
So he's come around the corner and he's in the...
He definitely looks like he's in that smoke, and he's gone wide.
It looks like he's gone wide, let off the power, and the car straightened itself up.
Yeah.
So that actually looks like it's his own doing there. Unless they've got a different camera angle of it.
Yeah, that's it. Must be very difficult though if you are stuck in the smoke and you can't see where you are, what's in front of you, what the other driver's doing.
That comes down to what we mentioned earlier about memory muscle.
Yeah, that's it.
And people wonder what that might be. It's the body's natural reaction to remember where you are at that particular time. So it becomes almost like autopilot. But in these circumstances, at 60, 70 mile an hour age, you can see advantage Nagas. Devidas drops off track, so Nagas takes the win there. We've got a treat for the fans here. We are going to go across to a team drift. We haven't had one of these since Slide did Suicide Drift last year. Not last year, year before. It was year before last.
I'm excited because I've never seen this.
Right, so this is Team Skid Risk are going to come out and do a 4-man train. They're going to send all 4 cars in at one go. And then either the fans who are here or the judges might decide who was the better of the teams when it comes to 4 men all at once drifting. We got told off for doing that here. We got told off for doing that here many years. Team Slide have got a fantastic relationship with Cat and the owners up here, but we have done so many rebel runs that we've had our hands slapped so many times, and it's ironic, that Matt has bought the series and then now brought it all back. Yeah, but we did a suicide run. It's been done in Japan. I think it's been done elsewhere, but we had the cars drifting the opposite direction on South Bank.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So 2 cars initiate and went round the top, and 2 cars did the track in reverse, and they went on the inside. So we did like an over-under manoeuvre. So 2 cars on the
double
outside.
arc.
Yeah, and then 2 on the other side.
It's risky business.
It is, considering that you've got £100,000 for the cars, and over 2,000 horsepower, tramming towards each other. It could have been a recipe for disaster, but it didn't happen. It looked fantastic.
Good.
And it was so planned and organised. It was that good. We actually planned it the night before in the pub, on the back of a pub
All
mat.
good plans start in the pub.
Woman after my own heart. Right, so we're going to line these guys up. It's going to probably consist of Paul Currington, Danny Maguire, and Ryan Toporoski. Yeah. So they need to be as close to each other as possible. They should be nudging bumpers at this point. You've got 1,500 horsepower. Topo getting less for us, but can he initiate and get all 3 of these cars around this corner?
Ryan's getting a little bit left behind there, but he's trying his best to keep up. It's brilliant to see 3 cars out at once. Lots of tyre smoke. I don't think we can get much more than that. It's burnout o'clock. Did I just hear they might have to do 2 runs of that? I hope they haven't used all that rubber on them tyres there, if they've got to do another run.
Wow. If you can't finish a drift, you might as well smoke out the entire stadium. That wasn't a dig, by the way. It was just me emphasising that they did just, we'll do a rolling burnout.
Hey, they want to entertain the fans. The fans want smoke.
I like how they've managed to do a rolling burnout over the finish line, through the chicane, pretty much all the way back to their own pits. I think that's the best bit of driving Topo's done all year. I'm hoping he's going to have enough tyres to do another run. If not, they've just smoked the best part of 600 quid off.
I reckon the latter.
Matt House on screen here. First time he's going to get escorted by 2 women at once at work. Unless the police I'm kidding.
No, we haven't caught him.
She's enjoying herself. See, missing all that being at home, aren't they?
I know.
So Matt, I think some of these guys have cobbled some teams together just to get the opportunity to put a bit of a show on for the fans and have 3 or 4 drivers all out at once.
That's
Probably going to be Team Europe here. A lot of Polish drivers.
Diversity.
Yeah.
Well, it's not very often that we get to see this kind of thing.
You know, back in day when me and Matt Stevenson and Adam Simmons and Jason Clark used to put these shows on just for the crowd.
He's bringing it back.
I remember once we did one round a recovery truck.
Awesome.
So we're going to send in a moment 4 cars.
4 cars.
Not 4 candles.
4 candles.
Candles for folks. 4 cars at once around the circuit. I think most I've seen around here in one goes about 6.
Wow. I'd love to see that.
It is quite epic, but also quite noisy, and the owners don't tend to like it that much. But 4 cars is not too bad. We can get away.
Hey, these people have paid good ticket prices to get down here. We are going to give them a show, give them something to watch.
Carnage. It sometimes ends up being like that. But also, we've got plenty on offer tomorrow. So for any of you guys watching that are close enough, you want to come down and get some tickets to see the live action, we have got the Pro Grid Walk and Pro Drivers tomorrow. So we've got 35 of the UK's best Pro drivers, but we're going to be on track in a minute, competing to be the best and the UK's number 1 Pro winner here at round 3. But as you can see on screen at the minute, we've got some red tyre smoke.
We certainly have.
You know, if you've ever seen any drifting events out in Europe, they love a track walk or in Riga, they just do it in the streets. They drive. It is fantastic to see.
Love it.
So we're trying to replicate it here, but at the minute we're having to deal with the fact that it's looking a little bit dark on the horizon.
It's spitting.
Oh, rain for the hour.
Spitting.
And what's going to happen in this last hour? Look, Malks has just like send them 4 cars all at once. Is that Adamus at the back? What a treat. So you've got Adamus Paskelis, the pro driver, at the back of this train. Show your appreciation for these guys. Absolutely sending it in the wet. It's starting to rain.
Now it's getting slippy.
Look at the red. And this is a show just for you guys. Yeah. There is nothing on the line to win apart from the honour and respect. My word. Just lead driver on the lock stops over the finish line there. Looks like he was heading towards a barrier. Just kept it pinned. You see these drivers left foot braking, just trying to slow it down a bit, but keep the smoke up, keep the tyres burning, because obviously they've got red smoke on them, and it's just for the show.
Amazing. Doing it all for fans.
Yep.
If you've videoed that, I'm sure loads of people out there have just videoed that. Get it online, #BDC 2019.
Oh, they're going again.
Oh, they're going again.
They're going again. Quick, get us to the live. Get the live cameras on. They're going again. Up. Oh my word. How the hell did he keep that? He was on the lock stops.
Rubbing the wall.
My word, it is tipping it down, guys.
It is super. The conditions just changed instantly, hasn't it?
Right. So like we spoke about earlier today of having rain on rubber,
yes,
turns it into an ice skating ring.
Perfect example right there. Oh, we're going to get our tandem donut. Oh no, we're not.
I want a helicopter.
Yeah, I want a tandem donut, I'm calling it.
There we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Just for the fans. And that
excellent
is a helicopter for that reason. They got lost in their own smoke.
Fantastic.
I like these coloured tyres. They do look cool.
Brilliant.
They're quite expensive as well.
I can imagine they are. I know it's a bit of a novelty, but it is cool.
I think they're about 150 quid a piece.
It is really cool.
Adamus Paskelis out in front, one of the pro drivers.
These guys, a round of applause. They put on that show just
that was
for
pretty
you.
cool. But what's about to happen?
It's
we're about to have a top 4 battle.
And it's just started to
rain. And it's absolutely tipped down. We've had no rain all day, and all of a sudden it's rained. So these guys have got to try and reset cars up to suit a wet track, whether that's going to be lowering tyre pressures, not changing spring rates, but they might soften up the suspension slightly to try and adapt to that. It just throws another danger element into it.
Absolutely, and if it's rained all day, you know that you're dealing with a wet condition.
Yep.
If it's just started raining, that's the worst time because it just gets like unbelievably slippy out there with all the rubber and the rain together.
But none of these top 4 drivers have done any practice in the wet.
No.
So because it's quite late in the day and we've got enough time to do it, what we're going to do, not for safety, but just obviously for better understanding, each driver's going to run an individual practice lap, like one
give
grip
them a chance
lap. Well, it's a grip
to
lap.
feel it.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll run it as a grip lap, and that'll just give them a better understanding of how bad it is and where the grip levels are and are not. It's not, for any advantage, but they're all going to get one.
No, it's fair. They're all getting it.
Yeah,
exactly.
they're all going to get one so that they can see as to what they're up against.
Yeah, exactly. They know what they're dealing with.
Well, could you imagine that you've not had any wet practice and you're expected...
It's been dry all day.
Yeah, and you're going to throw it in at side of another driver and be expected to come out the other side and not have any damages.
No, exactly. It's impossible to tell what the grip is till you get out there.
Yep.
It's absolutely impossible until you drive it. Same in any conditions. Until you do it, you don't know what it's going to be. So, that's fair, isn't it? We'll let them have a sighting lap almost for the grip.
Absolutely, and we will do sighting laps in practice and warm-ups just so the guys can see where clipping points are. But now, because I've obviously established and they've done all that, this is a grip lap. Because the rain, if it's for long enough and you've had enough laps in it, will actually clean the track up. It'll clean some of the rubber back.
Yes.
But because it's laying on top of fresh, deposited, burnt-in rubber, you've got water on top of this rubber. It's going to be absolutely like an ice skating rink. And I can probably see there being a couple of offs.
A couple of interesting moments, we'll call them, I think. Yeah.
Might be a little bit more than interesting.
Just trying to be kind of politically correct about it, but see the hardcore fans have remained.
Absolutely.
With
But
the
most of the non-hardcore
giving us a wave
fans,
there. They've got their hoods up and the brollies up.
That's it.
One of them sat in a tent.
That's just clever planning.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that might be Chris sat in a tent over there.
Hey,
do you know what? He's dry. If it works, it ain't stupid, is it?
Absolutely. I am not knocking it one iota. I do not blame him at all. So I think they are just trying to get drivers somewhat into position. So we're. I think it looks like some of the team drift cars might have had a little fire there.
I think they've had a minor.
It sounds daft. It's easy to have a fire on a car, and the main reason for that is they're heat wrapped, so everything's got a heat covering, maybe it be on the turbo or on the manifold. And if you get any oil onto that or anything, that might soak into it, that then obviously warms up. It can cause, to get the odd fire here and there.
That's it.
It won't be the first time. It won't be the last. But these cars have got extinguisher systems in them. Drivers all carry an additional extinguisher within hand's reach. And they've also got the fire extinguisher pull cords on the exterior of the car as well as interior car.
Yes.
So again, even though drifting might not be at the moment deemed as a FIA regulated motorsport for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it's not, but
But the regulations are all in place there to make sure that the driver's safety is paramount. So
Definitely.
the 6 point.
It would be crazy not to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not so much the speed; it's the crashing. If another car runs into you or vice versa, it's that
any kind of impact you're risking.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's fuel in the cars, but at the end of the day, there's oil, there's things like that, like you said. So you've just got to be safe. And the track marshals have all got extinguishers as well.
Yeah. So as we see Carl Farrar, wiper blades on, he's just having a bit of a feel for how and where the grip isn't.
I bet he's got Guns N' Roses or something going in there.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah. November Rain.
Oh, so he did then. Boom.
It's June, but
Yeah, I know.
Near enough.
What, middle summer?
It's as best as I can do.
He's probably got Highway to Hell on by Back in Black.
Yeah.
See what
that
I
was
did
good.
then? Yeah,
That was good.
I'm here all day, unfortunately.
Are you tomorrow as well?
No, you're on your own. No, I'm kidding. I'm here tomorrow.
Don't leave us off
You're
your
not
own.
on your own. I would not do that to you.
No, I you can see out there, like, look how fast he was driving earlier on.
So what?
And the difference now.
Yeah. So what happens in the wet is you use no tyres, but more fuel because the wheels are spinning. The wheels are spinning faster.
The more you rev, the more fuel you put in.
Yep. So the cars won't use any, but the speeds drop dramatically, probably around about 40% slower. Just because, but also what adds to it is, and you might be able to see on the live stream here, is there's different types of asphalt, tarmac. So some bits are grippier than other bits. Wherever they've had patchy bits relayed or put in,
they're a different texture.
Exactly, and from people who are not used to driving or on tracks and things like that, that can make a big difference. Especially when it's wet.
You can, absolutely, and then you've got the driver's side wheels on one surface, and the other side, and they're trying to fight against each other.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because you can just see to the right of picture, you've got like a light grey area, and then almost like a runway down the middle.
Yeah.
And that's where there is a change of surface on the initiation of the first corner south bank. So when you come into it, you've got a dry track, a slow track, but we're off. So we've got Dango to lead now Magic. Tentative entry, and rightly so, as he manages to keep on track, because if he was to run wide and drop off track, it's an instant 10-0. And this just goes to show why it's important to have seat time.
Yeah.
You might want to have dry days where it's fun, but you need to have the wet days as well, so you know how your car handles.
Absolutely.
And you can see from the speed, it is quite slow, but nonetheless, they are feathering the throttle there to try and get the direction changes.
Mind you, it certainly doesn't feel slow when you're in there in the wet.
No. It
still feels too fast for driving in the wet.
Yeah, it does. It feels really sketchy when you're in a drift car in the wet, irrespective of any horsepower. But if this rain would have probably dropped 90 minutes earlier, we would have had a completely different top four lineup, because you'd have had some of the underpowered cars that were running, really good lines that Louis, Stephen would probably have come through.
They definitely could have come through.
Because power out here means very little without the control that you need to obviously maximise your drift.
That's it, and when you're in the wet, the control reduces massively.
So these guys are going to switch it around. We're obviously going to get Maciek to lead and Dango to chase. Right, so we are off. Right.
Maciek's speed is a lot slower than it normally would be now. The conditions are so wet.
It is, but look how much Dango's trying, reining him in.
He is.
And you can see that from the proximity that he's got over him. So if he continues to run that line, Dango's going to be much closer to him as they transition and initiate. And you can see off how much they are feathering the throttle.
Oh!
So the weather is taking a bit of a turn, as you can see.
It certainly is. We're just kind of trying to battle with the side of the tower a little bit, because we're all going to get soaked in a minute.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be right.
Skin's waterproof. It'll be right.
Very
in a northern twang. So as you can see from the replay there, Dango's got much more proximity over Magic. The speeds obviously have decreased massively, because obviously it just went through, and you can see straighten there from Magic and a reinitiation. And then Dango's back on the power again.
And it looks like we've got a decision from the judges.
We have indeed. Yep, I think down to proximity. Farrar takes the win over Magic. Magic's had a fantastic weekend. Happy birthday to his daughter. I'm sure they've had a great time. But you know, unfortunately, down to proximity and how closer Dango was over Magic, that is why he took the win. So Dango getting up there into the finale. Right, so the next battle, Davidas and Ian Rutherford. So we're going to have the supercharged V8 S13 versus the turbocharged E46 BMW.
Hope our lovely BDC ladies have gone and hidden somewhere now, and they're not stood out there in the rain.
No, I hope that they are.
They're probably still out there
I hope
dancing.
they're outside in rain, getting absolutely wet through.
They're probably still dancing
No,
away.
I'm kidding. I'm not that nasty. Or am I?
Harsh.
Who knows? Right, so Ian Rutherford. Yes, so Ian Rutherford and Davidas are going to have their sighting lap. So they're obviously going to get opportunity to go for a little, should we say, pootle around the track. Grip testing. The lack of grip. It's only raining downhill. I don't see what the problem is.
Wind's picking up and all.
That was so not. Wind's picking up and all. I tell the.
Hey, these Teessiders know what I'm talking about.
Used to it up here.
They don't
I
need
think
translation for me.
Teesside has got its own weather. Up here, it's.
Racetracks have.
Oh,
Once you go through the gate, I've learnt this. They've got their own weather zone. I've learnt this.
Its own racetrack atmosphere.
Knockhill was the only place I've had a barbecue in the snow and got sunburnt at the same time.
Yep. Thing is with Knockhill, when you're up there and you look down the valley, you can see the weather rolling in from the fourth bridge. You're like, oh, it's gonna. Oh no, it's not raining. It's snowing.
Great.
Oh look, get your sun cream out. It's red hot again. Buxton's a lot like this, and you will understand this later in the year when we go to Buxton. It is so high in the hills, in the middle of nowhere. You can leave home and it is snowing. You can get there and it's 18 degrees. You're so high above the clouds.
So I'll bring my Factor 50 and a paint roller because I've got the ginger skin issue.
Bring the Factor 50 and some wellies.
Yeah.
And
my snowsuit.
And a sleigh.
Yeah.
It is. It's a great backdrop as well. We drove there for many years. A lot of these drivers that are here as well drove at Buxton, and Buxton produced some of the UK's best drivers. Richard Grindrod being one of them. Adam Simmons, Matt Stevenson. All these guys have all driven at Buxton. Matt Walker, Alex Law. It has been a staple, calendar event that we've all drifted. But you could go there. We drive in there in our drift cars. Drive, sleep in the car, drive the next day, and you'd wake up and there would be snow.
Yeah.
You'd wake up, in mild hypothermia, in a drift car with no heating because you didn't need heating. The car's got so hot that the exhaust,
you don't need heating.
You don't need any heating.
Yeah, I'm not down for that. I think I'd rather just
stay at home and watch it on live stream and have a cup of tea. Yeah.
No, I'd go. Just premiering it though.
Yep.
I'm too old for sleeping in cars and camping and stuff now.
You're too old for sleeping in camping.
It's too. Yeah, it's not so bad if it's like summer, real summer though, not like this.
Yeah.
Not this fake summer we've got going on. Like when it's actually warm.
And you know what'll happen next week? It'll be 27 degrees.
The sun will come out tomorrow night, 6 o'clock.
So it did then.
I actually wasn't even doing that, but if you want to go Annie about it, well, we can have a sing-song.
I was just inquiring as to where you might be heading with the sun will come out tomorrow.
No, it was a genuine phrase, but it did roll well.
I thought you were just going to go into jazz hands there and start
No, I've told you.
Knocking out the musical.
Nobody wants me to sing.
We could do some karaoke later.
Karaoke. It will be a joke.
Do the Greatest Showman spiels.
I haven't seen that.
What?
No.
Do you live under a rock?
Right, all I watch is car stuff, okay? So, like, don't hate me. Don't hate the player.
So, alright, when was the last time you watched Bullet?
Ages ago.
Right, okay, so it's not just, so car stuff.
Car stuff.
You've not even seen Hot Rod.
Yeah, I can't remember seeing that. If I might have done, but I can't remember.
Can't have been that good to you if you've forgotten already.
Well, that's it, exactly.
So we've
Rush. Rush was the last thing I watched.
Yeah, that and Senna.
Yeah, they get me in the feels a bit then though. I've got to do a little cry when I watch them.
No, I don't do the little cry thing. I just do my palms get a bit sweaty and I want to go driving. I want to drive fast. Or it's like whenever you listen to Fleetwood Mac and the chain comes on.
Oh, when the chain comes on, instantly I'm like,
Yep.
driving gloves are out.
Yep. Everybody.
Yeah, that used to be a ringtone on my phone.
Really?
Yeah, because I love the chain. Yeah,
I'm hoping obviously people that are listening know exactly what we're talking about. It's the old school Grand Prix theme tune.
Yes, the proper one. When F1 used to be
have proper engine
interesting
noises,
still.
and it used to have
Yeah, when
proper engine notes.
Yeah, when the cars actually sounded like Formula 1 cars.
Yeah, and you could hear them from miles away. But anyway, Formula 1 intrigues me from a motorsport point of view because it's a numbers thing. Being quite geeky, the numbers that go into all that is quite phenomenal. Because obviously being part of motorsport at this level is completely different, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it's just, a Formula 1 engine is technically seized because the tolerances are so fine that when the engine's warm, it's unseized. That's why they used to have umbilicals to pump hot oil around them to warm them up, and all that kind of geekiness is what has got my interest in motorsport. But I love all kinds of motorsport. At least it's not football. Not that I'm biased.
Well, I have to say, I wouldn't be your friend if you started to like football.
Well,
it's against my religion. The religion of motorsport.
Yeah.
Is what I always say.
Yeah.
No, F1 is a fantastic industry. I've just lost a little bit of interest in it.
Though it is an industry, isn't it?
It is.
It's
and
a
that's
multi-million-pound industry.
And for me, it's just something's missing from it now. For me personally, to keep me interested. If I got invited to an actual race, I thought, right, I'm going to go down and watch it. I'd quite enjoy seeing it there and then.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy that because you've got the atmosphere and you've got everything to it. Much like this.
Much like this.
Exactly. It really interests me more to be there.
Yeah.
But I don't follow it anymore.
The thing that with circuit racing is you might lose out on is the atmosphere, and I get that. Whereas with this, it's all contained. It happens. You have a start and finish done. You watch it all in one run. With circuit racing, you're just watching and waiting for it to come round. Unless you've got a live stream or your phone to watch it while you're there. Yes, you get the noise and the atmosphere that goes with it. But
that's the downside. You can't see the whole lap.
No,
that kind of thing. I get that.
Whereas with this, you can, because obviously it's short but very intense, and there's a lot of action, and it's action packed straight off the bat.
Yeah.
The only thing holding us up is obviously the weather and these guys getting lined up.
Joys of UK weather. But I do like that kind of motorsport when you've got everything contained together. That's why I quite like Speedway as well. That's the same. You've got a lot of action in a small place.
Anybody who needs a poncho, a Mike Honcho,
I think there might be some.
The merch tent have got some ponchos.
Merch tent. I might have to get one in a minute if that side.
Lauren Siddons has packed for all eventualities.
So we'll just wave a couple of drivers, see what's happening.
A little bit of information.
Yeah.
Right, so Davidas hasn't turned up. Nergis has not turned up to the start line for his battle, which means that he has technically forfeited his battle position to be able to compete to get to the final. However, because this is the top four, he then qualifies to battle for the third and fourth place. So at the moment, Ian Rutherford goes through into the final on default because Nergis hasn't turned up. But for Nergis, he needs to turn up to battle for the third and fourth playoff. Does that make sense?
You might have to run that by me again, to be fair.
Right, okay. So Dango's gone through to the final.
Right.
Magic is in the third, fourth playoff. Ian and Nergis were going to battle each other to see who was in the final. But Nergis didn't turn up. He's forfeited it because he's not at the start line. He's had his 5-minute rule and he's not been able to make it. So because he's not turned up, Ian Rutherford takes the bye into the final against Dango. but we don't run the final until we've run the playoff, which is 3rd and 4th place. So Magic is going to battle Nagas in the 3rd, 4th playoff.
If he's ready.
If he's not ready.
So what if? Yeah. What if?
So
he's
if he's not ready, then obviously he forfeits that position. He automatically takes 4th place, and Magic automatically takes 3rd place, and then we go straight to the final and run Dango, which is Farrar, against Ian Rutherford. Does that make sense?
It's blown my tiny little mind. That has. It's a bit late in the day now for this complicatedness.
It is. I could do with a brew.
Oh, a brew would be lovely. If anyone wants to bring us a brew up here.
I'm sure there's brew making facilities probably underneath where we're sat. But we don't have a runner. We've got nobody that we can just.
We're missing that.
Offer you. We're not.
Or maybe we should get Ian back.
We are not important
He
enough
could be
to have
our
a
brew
runner.
next time.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. Ian, love you really.
He's probably. In fact, I think they've had bad weather out in France as
Have
well.
they?
Yeah, northern France where they're running Driftmasters. So I think they might have had a bit of poorly weather.
It was that windy at round 2 at Driftland. This whole tower was like
Swaying.
rotating, swaying in the wind. There was at one point where I think we had Matt and a few other people kind of literally battened down the hatches whilst me and Ian are trying to concentrate on what we're talking about. That was an interesting moment.
Thing is though, you put all this really nice BDC merch on and you get all nice and warm, but when you're sat in your station and you're not doing anything, you soon get cold.
Yes, you do. I've put an extra coat on and I'm still cold, but it's because you sat down completely still, aren't you? You're not getting any blood going on.
Jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Having a bit of a mad one for the final.
Ian does that. We've been getting up and,
What star jumps?
getting a bit, energetic
some armchair.
because we were excited. Yeah, we were like
armchair disco.
We were like shuffling about and doing a bit of a two-step. Like
bit of a two-step.
Hey, you've got to do what you got to do to keep warm sometimes, even if it did mean dancing badly in the tower. But
should have been a camera for that. Right.
I know.
So but tomorrow's antics, we are going to have 35 UK pro drivers competing against each other in the same format as today, but you can just tell, not taking anything away from today's pro drivers, but you can just tell there's that additional confidence, should we say?
Yes.
That these guys seem to be 10% quicker and I won't say 10% more reckless, but it just seems to be the ante's up slightly.
Yeah, reckless isn't the word, but I'm trying to think of a good
unhinged.
Yeah, they're all a bit unhinged.
They're all a bit
well, to be fair, we all are here, aren't we? Really, in our own world.
And fair play to the spectators, because that's a little bit more dedication than most to be out here in this weather.
Absolutely, it's not pleasant to be stood out there.
Listening to our monotone.
I know.
Voices.
Thank you for showing the support to the drivers and the BDC for standing in the rain. I know you haven't been standing it for that long, but hopefully it won't be too much longer and we'll get going with the last few runs. Excited.
Me too.
It's going to be interesting.
It is.
Yeah, there's some really interesting pairings.
Once we've got these 4 drivers have already been decided, just not in what position.
Yes, that's
like I said earlier, they've got the opportunity to drive in tomorrow's big show, the pro show, where we get obviously all the cars out on the track, and we invite all the spectators down so you can meet and greet. You can meet the drivers, you can have your picture taken with it, you can get your autographs, you can look around some of this superb machinery.
You can have a little look under the bonnet,
Absolutely.
see what it's all about.
If you ask them nicely, get your kids down, get them sat in the car, get some pictures with them.
I'm sure they would find
really,
that.
really hands-on. That it's that level of motorsport where you can get at it to be involved. You don't get that anywhere else. You don't get that in touring cars or any Formula.
No, you're kind of kept away from all the cars and drivers,
absolutely.
aren't you?
And the only reason that we do that with the pits here is because we've got limited access. Some of the other tracks, pits are open.
Yeah.
Guys are available to walk around. Right, so just to confirm, Nagas is out. He's not going to compete, like we were saying, to do the 3rd, 4th place playoff. So this is Magic doing a bye run, which this guarantees him a place in the top 3. I might as well tell you that, because usually we'd hold that information back because we'd battle and then we'd give the results out on the podium. But obviously, because Nagas is not driving, Magic automatically takes the bye win and takes the 3rd place. So there's no point in holding that back. It sometimes shows the power of these cars that when it's raining, they manage to generate smoke from the tyres.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive.
Pretty good feat, though, isn't it?
Like that.
Can't do that in my van.
But that's wet, and he's doing donuts, and he's got smoke coming off the tyres. Some temperature in there.
Yeah, I know, I wouldn't want to touch them. Do you know what? I think we had a temperature reading in round 2. We were interested in seeing how hot they were in the wet as well, and I'm sure they were like over 80 degrees.
Yeah, you want to get your hands on them, would you?
No thanks.
So, we are going to line these drivers up. I'm sorry for the delay. We've just had to obviously work with the weather, and we are going to have the final run of the day here at Teesside for round 3 of the Masterclass Pro-Am. It's been an interesting day.
It's been a fantastic day. It's a shame about a little bit of rain at the end, but hey, it's keeping them on the toes.
Absolutely, it is what it is, and that's what we like, because there's thrills and spills ahead as we line the drivers up for the second to final run of the day. We have got Farrar showing off his Clark Custom exhaust there in the chase position against Ian Rutherford. Ian Rutherford to lead in the V8 supercharged powered S13. Farrar has been on point all day,
he has,
and it's showing with the line that he's taking. But Ian Rutherford there just pulling a little bit of proximity on Carl. Whether or not Carl's going to gather that up. A massive error there from Ian Rutherford, and Dango's seen that in the chase position, so he knows he's taken the advantage. He just had to back out a bit, give him a bit of space, get back on the power, and Ian's going to be absolutely kicking himself because he knows that he just threw that away with that little clip on that tyre wall.
But in these conditions, it's so easily done. So easily done. No matter how much experience you've got.
No, you drop a couple of feet off of what would be the racing line. You're going to lose all the. You're going to get on all the marbles, on all the dirt and whatnot, and that's obviously going to. As you can see, Ian's got a good line and got a bit of separation, but then he just comes back on power up and then over-rotates it. And he's lucky that he has actually probably hit the tyre wall, because that looked like it was going to be a spin.
It did.
Carl had to back out and then obviously just get back on the power, so he knows the advantage is going to be towards himself to Farrar.
The nice thing was, because they're relatively low speed now, Carl could see that coming in almost slow motion.
Yeah,
and so he just kind of held back a little bit.
Back out of it.
Yeah, avoided any more contact.
He didn't force the error, he just let it happen. Like we said earlier, it's not down to you. Losing the drift.
I like that. I do like that phrase. That makes it make more sense to me. Yeah, that's exactly what it's about.
You don't sometimes force the win.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to do something to impress.
No, you can force the error.
Yeah, you just have to hopefully not make a mistake.
So here we can see both drivers using the Tri-Ace King tyres. So there's no advantage in real terms of tyre grip. It'll just be mechanical grip. And Ian all over the back of Dango, and the reason for that is he knows he has to try and force an error here. So if he can force Dango into an error, he will take that advantage back. But however, at the moment, Dango just doing his own thing, playing a safe line, and this is a battle of wits. Ian having a cheeky inside dive there just to try and force a line, but Farrar just keeping it calm and composed there, and enough to keep it over the line in these atrocious weather conditions.
The judges are clapping that one as well. They were really happy with that performance.
All these three guys have driven in the rain.
They understand.
Yeah, they know how difficult it is. And for you guys at home, it's the same as anything. When you're in a straight line on a motorway or any other road, you reduce your speed, your braking distance and all that.
Absolutely.
Imagine trying to be competitive in torrential rain.
Absolutely, and on the road you're in a straight line hopefully, and you've got tyres that are built for wet conditions. You've got the tread that filters the water away. You don't really have that with these type of tyres.
No, you're right, and exactly that. It's it can sometimes be way too treacherous. I have known obviously when the weather is too bad, they've had to hold back just obviously to try and disperse some of the water before committing.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it's been at the it's the end of the day. We've been kind of blessed.
We have really. It's been a fantastic day, other than the last kind of 10 minutes, I think, as the rain's really coming down now.
Yep.
As everyone's just kind of running for a little bit of cover. We've got a few brave people still with the brollies out there.
I'm sure the RC tent is going to be absolutely chocker with people.
It will be now,
not watching the RC, but just trying to get out of
trying to keep dry.
Get out of the weather.
And The merch tent will have sold out of ponchos. There we go.
Yeah, more than likely.
You can't beat an emergency poncho.
No. So, yeah. Right, obviously because of the weather interval as such, we're as you can see on the monitors there. As you can see on the monitors, it is absolutely teaming it down here.
It absolutely is.
Fortunately for me and you, we're just we're paid to talk, so we can sit in this
undercover.
Nice little cold corner, and we can just keep.
It's cold, but it's dry.
Yeah, exactly that.
And I've just had a sneaky look at the forecast. So if you're watching the live stream and fancy coming down tomorrow, the forecast looks good.
Really?
Yes. Sunshine until lunchtime. That kind of rhymes, that.
But what happens after lunchtime?
Bit of cloud and a possibility of rain, but not till late afternoon. So I think we'll scrape it. It's going to be a nice day tomorrow. It's Father's Day. Bring your fathers down.
Yep, absolutely. Mine's here today.
Oh, I've seen him actually.
Yeah, he's on the staff. He's on the payroll, so he's working
today.
Doing
some work.
He's on the gate with Matt's dad as well. So we've got Team Dad in effect on the gate.
I was bringing them coffee this morning.
Oh bless.
Try and perk them both up a bit.
You're a good egg.
I'll try. Yeah, so good. I'm glad the weather's going to be pleasant tomorrow. That is always a good thing. The crowds will be out in droves.
Hey. So we're going to do some commentating on what's happened, but I'm going to try and do it within the relative confines of our dry position.
So I can see a soggy podium arriving.
A soggy Callum and a soggy Matt going out onto track. Well, doesn't this absolutely suck? But nice weather for ducks.
It's lovely weather for ducks, but I ain't got any of them. So can we get a drift duck?
A drift dog?
Drift duck.
Oh, right, okay.
Because then if it rains, the duck can just
there's plenty of guys from Mansfield and Nottingham. They're all duckies.
I don't know.
So you get the whole euphemism, hello, help me Chuck, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're all duck.
Oh, they're
help duck.
Yeah.
Help me duck. So your Stu and your Ash Jonas and rest of Team Skid Rest, they're all duckies.
Are they? We're Yorkshire. We say, Teesside, we sort of say pet, don't we? But that's more Newcastle.
Yeah.
And
we're more
bit of love. Love.
Yeah, we're more like help cocker. not like in a dog spaniel kind of way, but
My all right love. That's my love.
Help love.
Yeah. All right.
So, as you can see, we have got 3 cars lined up, and that is a little bit of an indication of the position that these guys have finished in. As you can see, we have got Farrar, Rock and Roll Dango, with...
Has he still got his aviators on?
Yeah. So these guys are all on the all lining up, but you've also got you've got Madchek, who's there, or as we like to call him, Magic Blaze Jet Ski, and Ian Rutherford. So, without further ado, it is chucking it down. I want to get these guys on live stream. In 3rd place goes to Magic Blaze Jet Ski. Show your appreciation in this weather. It's his daughter's birthday. I've tried to pronounce his name as best I can. And, you can't take it away from him. Is that an epic day's driving or not? So, fantastic result there for Magic. Onto our top final 2. It has been great driving from these guys all day. They've been super consistent. But you can't take it away from Mr. Consistent in an underpowered car. Dango Farrar, Rock and Roll Star, takes 1st place. Look at that, bless him. And without further ado, and being uber consistent all day, you can't take anything away at all from Ian Rutherford, who's had a fantastic run, local guy here. But also, and show your appreciation for our top 3 finishers. We've also got a hard charger award. If he's around, the hard charger of the day goes to Rob Johnson. Excite hard charger of the day.
Absolutely well deserved for Rob Johnson. Absolutely. He drove stunningly, didn't he?
He drove the wheel. He drove the wheels off that car.
He really did.
As these guys share the champagne and the rain and the love, as you can see, they've had a great day. We are going to wrap it up shortly, but we've got to remind you guys, we are here tomorrow all day, live stream action starting from around about midday.
And it's supposed to be dry.
And it's going to be dry. So get your tickets, get down here, come see us tomorrow, because we're going to have some giveaways, some merch, and the pro UK drivers on show. Thank you for your time today. That's myself, Ben Manuel, signing off.
And me, Sarah Hall, thank you very much for listening to us witter on all day about this brilliant round 3. And we'll see you for the pros tomorrow.
We are Funk Motorsport, your heat management specialists. Based in the UK, we strive for perfection, developing thermal products trusted by professional race teams and drivers worldwide. Performance, protection, reliability.
Tarmac Sports.